Okay, I found it. There's a sidebar.
You got
Okay.
it?
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
I got it. Okay, so just let me know when we need to pause this. So here's our recording of PPSDC, our image competition for March 2023. All right, that's yours, Janet.
All right. Dan, do you want to welcome the judges?
I will.
Yeah, and then
I will open up.
Yeah.
And so as Michelle mentioned earlier, we do have 72 images tonight, so it should be a pretty keen competition. We will be moderated by Janet. And our jury panel consists of 3 very highly qualified judges. First, we have Nick Seth-Smith, a commercial photographer based in Los Angeles. Nick specializes in fashion and lifestyle and also enjoys product photography, particularly food. Nick holds master photography degrees from both Professional Photographers America and Professional Photographers California, and is a certified professional photographer. He's a master photographic printer and has a boutique printing business specializing in high-end Giclée prints. Finally, Nick has an extensive project management background in the IT industry to draw on when producing large and complex photo shoots. So that's Nick Seth-Smith.
Make it easier.
Yeah. Our second juror is Gary Parsons. Gary is a certified professional photographer who specializes in sports, dance, and aviation photography. If it moves quickly, Gary is there to photograph it. Gary started his photographic career while in high school, shooting sports and doing sports events, and event photography and wedding photography after graduating from college. In 2022, he was awarded Photographer of the Year in Photojournalism or Reportage by both Professional Photographers of Los Angeles County and Professional Photographers of California. Gary has served for the past 4 years as the PPLAC Image Competition Director. My hat's off to you. I know what that job entails. And finally, we have Andrew Faulds. He is a master photographer, wedding photographer, and craftsman. He is an Arizona PPA past president and owns and operates a portrait studio named Studio 3 Images. Andrew has won many awards in his career, including Arizona PPA Photographer of the Year in 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2022. ASP and CPP Awards, Imaging Excellence Award, and Imaging Excellence Bar, and representing Team USA in the 2016 Photographic World Cup. And he has been the Diamond Photographer of the Year 2 times in his career. So, as I mentioned, very qualified panel of judges. We're looking forward to having your eyes on our images and getting your feedback on our group's work.
Is there any reason to keep this? Can I just
I don't know. You put it there, so I don't know.
Okay. I'm just gonna recycle.
Do
And
we
so
have
I would ask
somebody
anybody
that's-
who's not a judge, Janet or I, to mute their microphones, please.
Do we have a co-host that can monitor that right now since Michelle isn't here? Did Mike, are you on as a co-host?
I can
I
do
can't
it.
see everybody. Yeah.
Make me
Okay.
a co-host. I've done that
I
many times.
I don't have any.
The host is going to have to make me the co-host. Michelle
Okay.
still here?
No, we can get her.
Maybe she should make Dan the host.
He's
No,
going
I
to have
can't.
too much. Yeah. So
Yeah, but I'll
text her to do
co-host. I'll
that.
take care of everything else.
I'll text her to do that. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So, Janet, do you have anything you want to add before we dive
No,
in?
just hi, welcome. Glad to see everybody and looking forward to awesome image competition tonight. That's it. We'll try to keep us going. And I'll tell her
Alright.
about co-host.
Okey-doke. All right, so we'll kick it off as we did last image competition. What is our new paradigm is we are going to randomize these images. So those of you who are used to our old method of doing things where we'd go through a slew of photojournalism and then a slew of portraits, now we're just going to go randomly in the computer generated order. So pay attention. You can't wait for wedding to come at the very end for your images to show up. And if you are, you're doing something wrong because we don't have any wedding images tonight. So I will start off with image number 1. It's a nature image, drip drop. Image score is an 81.
All right, let's start, Gary. Let's have you start off.
I kind of like the image. I like the composition. The reflection is very, very nice. It looks tack sharp. The one improvement I was just the top right corner, that brown spot kind of is distracting there. But overall, a very good image. I scored an 83.
All right, thank you. Next image.
Okay, next image is a senior image, urban musician.
Can we remove that cursor that's in the middle of the photo?
We'll contact Michelle.
Yeah.
It's her screen.
So this is the Zoom screen just for everyone. So if you're on the printcompetition.com, you won't see this screen. So I would suggest viewing it on the print competition site and just using the Zoom here for audio, if that makes sense.
Image scores an 81.
All right, Nick. Nick, I don't know if you're muted. I can't hear you and I can't see you.
I am muted. My mistake.
Yeah,
No,
that's okay. Go
I'm
ahead.
muted. I'll start again. Okay, so I think this is it's a nice solid portrait of a senior. I like there's a little bit of attitude there, and it's nice to see some connection with the camera, but also, as I said, just that little bit of attitude from the subject. For me, I would cut down some of the negative space at the top. I think it's a little too much. I get that it's creating a sense of space and scale, but I think it's, you could probably trim that down a little bit and just have a slightly stronger image. I do like the way that it's picking up a reflection and a shadow on the side of the door, though. I think that's been very nicely done. So good image.
All right, thank you, Nick. Next image.
Okay, the next one is in the illustrative category. Follow the path. Image scores a 77.
All right, Andrew.
Alrighty, so I enjoyed this image right when it came up. We have some good composition, some nice leading lines. But then when I kind of dove into it a little bit more, I noticed there is some technical excellence issues in the retouching, especially in between the fence, almost dead center in the middle of the frame. There's a little kind of looks like we missed a little bit of the white area where I'm assuming that's sand or the water coming through. And then right to the right of that, there's a couple little areas there. I'm not sure exactly what's happening there, but definitely take a look at that, fix that up a little bit. And then I think we're just lacking a little bit of tonal contrast to really make this pop, to really draw our eye and our attention into the center of interest.
All right, great feedback. Thank you, Andrew.
Janet, can I just add a
Yes.
couple of
Oh
other
yeah,
issues?
go ahead, Nick.
I totally agree with Andrew's comments. There's a couple of other areas, and I think there may have been an effect applied overall, because I noticed in the corners you're getting the same effect as you're getting off the edges of the flowers and so on. So it looks like that there may have been some kind of a, using the patch tool or whatever to move things around. But then there's also an odd little line where the key line is bleeding, and it looks like there's a second key line top left-hand corner, just about an inch below the top. So just some details. But I totally agree with Andrew. Increase the tonal contrast, fix those, and you've got a much stronger image.
All right, great. Thank you. Next image.
Next image is also an illustrative image. Roy's Route 66, Amboy, California. Image scores a 77.
All right, I'm gonna go to Andrew for this one.
Yeah, so I scored this to 76. Initial impact, I love the composition. The I guess you call that a tower. I don't even know what they call tower. Kind of off in the rule of thirds with a nice balance in the composition with the Roy's Motel Cafe. But really diving into this, just, you know, the image is starting to break up a little bit. And I was going back and forth. Was this a stylistic effect? Was this something on purpose or not? But then the more I looked at it, just really took my attention away from where I felt the center of interest was. And I started noticing the lines by the palm trees, the breaking up in the skyline there. And then our horizon line is a little bit crooked there. So we could straighten up that horizon line, fix a little bit of the pixelization. Assuming that's pixelization in there. Or if it is a stylistic effect, maybe kind of keep it throughout the image so it looks like it's done intentionally.
All right, great, thank you. Thanks so much. Next image.
Next image is in the children category. Busy in the piazza. Image scores a 77.
All right, Gary.
I scored it a 77. It's a cute kid, nice storytelling. I think what you generally want to do is move the child more to the left so you have the child running into the photo and not out of the photo. I would have kind of cropped it a little bit tighter because I think the interest is the kid. But again, the big thing is I think composition should be the kid more on the left side running into the picture and tighter crop. And my score was 77.
Thank you. Great, great feedback. All right, next image.
Hey, Janet, before we go
Yes.
next image,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or the other judges, when we click the numbers on this keypad, are you guys able to click it? Because I'm having to click like 3 times for the numbers. So I keep like inputting the wrong number or like double number. Is it just
Okay.
me?
Is any other judge having issues?
I'm finding that when I click it, sometimes it's zooming out and I have to zoom it back in again.
I'm having no issues at all. I was trying to use my Wacom tablet and that wasn't working very well, but the mouse works fine.
Okay.
I'm using mine on a phone, so
Interesting.
Okay. I'll just be a little more careful, but if I put in
Okay.
the wrong score, I apologize.
Okay, so.
And if
yeah,
you need to make a change, just let me know.
Yes.
We can reset the scores.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
All right. So the next image is a senior image, final season. Image scores a 79.
all right, Nick, you're up.
So I'm at a 78 on this image, and I love the expression. I love the feeling. That, clearly he's very excited for the final season. I think where the image would be stronger would be with a little bit of framing. I would lose some of the negative space on the left in order to move him more to a rule of thirds type position. I think that would add a lot of strength. Also, just a little comment on the presentation. I would like to see a key line that you can see. I think, no, I don't see a key line at all. If it's there, it's so subtle that you can't see it. And it would be nice to see that, particularly down at the bottom there, so that you've got a clear delineation where the image ends and the presentation finishes. But I think it's a nice, strong, it's a good image. I think it would become a merit image with a little bit of more presentation. But I like the hard lighting as well. I think that actually lends a lot of authenticity to the image.
Okay, any judges want to add anything? Are we good to move on? All right,
I think just
Yeah.
applaud the maker. Oh,
no, go ahead.
I think applaud the maker on capturing this emotion. Right when this comes up, I mean, you get a feeling that you are there in this moment with this, hockey player. Great job capturing that emotion. Whatever he's looking at and laughing, you captured that beautifully. I scored this an 80. I think this is fantastic image. Definitely if you're going to move this forward, get rid of that light switch on the right. It didn't necessarily bother me that much because it's not really demanding attention. But I agree with my fellow judge, and I forgot who said it. Maybe with a little different composition, rule of thirds, creating more negative space and creating that story might have it just a little bit more impactful to get that in the merit category.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Dan, next image.
All right. This one's a photojournalism image called Buddy Guy Tossing a Pick.
What was the title again?
Buddy Guy Tossing a Pick.
Pick. Okay. Thank you.
Certainly.
So I can reset.
Yeah.
I'm on the app.
All right. So
I
everybody.
was saying, I figured it out. It's okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Sorry.
Image scores a 77.
All right, Andrew.
Yes, it looks to me, or appears to me, that we missed our focus here. Our focus is on the cross in the collar of the shirt, not his face. If you wanted the cross to be our center of interest, maybe open that up a little more, frame it a little more. But with the face being soft, it looks like we missed that focus. So with the technical excellence, scored as 78. I enjoy the composition. I enjoy that you didn't just put him dead center in the frame where he's offset a little bit, create a little bit of negative space to kind of help tell that story. Just be careful with that hand right in that center because it's really directing attention. Even though his face is the brightest part of the image, the hand's really directing attention, even though you played into that with the story. But the technical excellence with the focus, or at least from my perspective, looks off, and it should be on his face.
All right, great. Thank you so much for that feedback.
Sorry, Jenna.
Nick, yep, go ahead.
Yeah. One other comment. I agree with everything that Andrew said. The only other thing that struck me is it looks like there's a little bit of color contamination coming on his right hand. It's picking up a very heavy magenta cast, and I don't know if that's necessarily correct. So, and even if it's actually there, I would take it out. I think it's a little distracting. But the storytelling is fabulous. I agree with Andrew that the center of focus is slightly off. But I would also look at that color cast, particularly on his right hand.
I'm pausing because we're photojournalism and I'm not sure if that's
Was
a
it for, I
technique.
beg your pardon, I didn't hear
Yeah,
my bad. Okay, no,
Yeah.
ignore that.
okay,
Scratch that. You can't fix it.
okay.
Sorry,
Thank you, Nick. No, but that was great information.
Yep.
Thank you. All right,
Okay.
Dan.
Next one is also photojournalism, The Silver Drummer Girl. Image scores an 80.
All right, Gary, let's hear from you. Gary, are you ready? Are you available? I can't see everybody. Oh yeah, I think you have unmute, Gary.
I'm not sure how I got muted there.
I don't know either. Okay.
Okay, so one more time. I
I did
really
it.
like the image. I gave it an 83. I like the composition. I like the shadows on the face. A great tonal range in the photo. It is PJ. If it wasn't PJ, I'd like to really tone down the lights in the back. But it is PJ, so you're limited in what you can do. But I just like the overall composition, the exposure tack on, and it looks really sharp. So my score is 83.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Gary. All right, next image.
Okay, next one is a portrait image, radiant smile. Image scores a 77.
All right, Nick, you're up.
I'm probably the bad guy on the block here. I'm at a 76. I think she's got a gorgeous smile, and I love the, that little capture of the moment. As a portrait, it feels, her face feels a little bit overblown. It's not actually overexposed, but it feels very bright for where it is. The posing, I mean, she's just basically blocked straight on and only her head is turned, which is not necessarily flattering. And then as a general rule, we the old expression, don't broad light abroad. I know that, in sort of modern thinking, that rule is not so firmly held, but I think that she would benefit from having been short-lit rather than broad-lit. I think it would be a more flattering look for her. So I think that it's a nice concept. It's well executed, but I think that a little bit more flattering pose. And as I say, I would have just burnt it down just a fraction, and I think you'd get you'd have a much stronger pose. But the expression is priceless.
Awesome, great, thank you. Do you want to quickly just say what broad and short lighting is, real quick?
Sure. So essentially, unless someone's looking straight on, there's a narrow side of the face and a wide side of the face. In this case, her right hand or camera left is the short side of the face. If she's lit from that side, it tends to be more flattering. It tends to slim the face. If the larger side of her face, in other words, in this case, camera right or her left, is lit, then the wide side of her face is lit, and it tends to make the face look bigger, which generally speaking is not flattering. Now, she's got a fairly strong jawline, so she can just about carry it. But even so, I think if you'd lit her from the other side, it would have created a more flattering image, and perhaps told the story a bit better.
All right, thank you. Thanks for the clarification, Nick. All right, next image.
All right, the next image is also a portrait of the vintner's daughter.
Mm.
I know you're waiting on me. Give me a second.
Yeah, that's okay.
Image scores an 86.
All right, great. Andrew, why don't you take it?
Yes, because I took too long. That's
No,
why.
you were next anyway.
So what I was looking at is like I was honestly trying to kind of find something. This is beautifully done. This is the color grading that was used here, the pose, the emotion, the look, I love the straight on the camera look, beautiful loop lighting that's coming in. This is handled, masterfully. I scored this in 86. I put this in the excellent category. This beautifully done. Rooms for improvement, not much, except I would like to flag a little bit more light off the chest and the flowers a little bit, just to really draw your attention into the face. You know, the retouching looks good too. I wouldn't do anything with those little stray hairs on the side. Great composition. A lot of times with negative space in the composition, I like the negative space on the opposite side of the shadow, which in this case would be camera left. But for some reason, I really enjoy it on the camera right here. It just adds a little bit more mystery. It takes you into this place that this little girl is, and you know, the time, the era that you're really trying to create. Wonderful job.
Great. Thank you so much. Great, just great advice. Thank you. All right, Dan, next image.
Okay. Bear with me on this one. The next image is a digital artistry image. Kago Yohime no Ie. And it looks like we have a little lag in print comp. There we go.
Okay.
Sorry, I made a mistake of refreshing my screen, and so now I'm waiting for everything to reload.
Okay.
I thought my machine was being slow, so I refreshed. Don't do that. Can you just give us the title again, please, as best you can?
It's Kago Yahime no Ie.
Thank you.
And we may not have mentioned this in the meeting ahead of time, but in digital artistry, we asked the maker to put the thumbnails in the
mat.
border. Yeah,
Mhm.
in the mat. Sorry.
Image scores of 78.
Well, let's see. Gary, let's have you.
I scored a 77. That's an interesting composition. A lot of detail to look at. Part of my problem is I wasn't sure where my eye was supposed to go to. You had the kind of the bricks kind of in the dead center leading to the end. I kind of like to see in a black and white photo a strong black and strong white. I don't see the strong white here, but I guess my big problem is here just what's the center of interest. So again, my score is a 77.
Thanks,
Can I
Nick.
also add?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I also add to that for digital artistry? I mean, what we're really looking at is level of difficulty, what it took to create this image. Looking at the final image compared to the thumbnails, it appears that the one image is more on the wider angle, and the top image is more. It doesn't appear to match as far as the perspective with the two images, and that really threw me off.
Oh, great feedback, judges. Thank you. Nick, do you want to? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of my two judges, but I thought the final image was actually a nice view of, and I thought, I mean, the perspective is slightly off, but I think it's very close, and I think actually the story works. The only comment that I would have made on it, and I was at 80, by the way, I actually like this, and I thought it was a merit-worthy image. I think the way the two images have been put together is very, very well done, so that there's no obvious Photoshop work, which is obviously what we're looking for. The one thing that I would have done would have been to have corrected some of the lens distortion on the outside image where the uprights are not upright. There's a little bit of curvature on the right-hand side and so on. This is essentially an architectural image. I would like to see perfectly straight verticals that are vertical. But I did think it was, it was nice. I like the composition. I like the feel of it. And it kind of tells a nice story.
All right. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, judges. All right, Dan.
Next image, senior image, 1976. Image scores an 82.
All right. I might want to hear from multiple judges, but we'll start with Andrew.
Yeah, deserving of a merit, 80. Color harmony, beautiful. Great job with the color harmony. My attention goes right to what you want me to look at, which is her face. Beautiful loop / Rembrandt that's coming in there. I say that just because that loop of that shadow just barely doesn't connect quite yet there. But beautiful, beautiful job, masterful job with the editing, in my opinion, with the color harmony. Everything's flowing in really nicely together. My one advice is crop out the legs on the bottom. You know, maybe even bring a little bit more shadow back into that skirt or shorts that she's wearing. I'm not too concerned with the detail there because, you know, the story is definitely in the upper half, but just crop off that bottom half. There's no need to have her thighs or legs in there. All that's doing is directing our attention down where it doesn't need to be. We want to enjoy this image from the hands to the face and just circle back, creating nice path in this portrait.
Great. Nick, did you want to add anything?
Sure. I mean, I love this image. I think it's very strong. I was almost taking up into the next category, but I left it at 84. And the only thing that's holding me back, I think the connection with the viewer is very, very strong. The way that she's got that laser focus with the viewer is gorgeous. And I like the pose. But I noticed that there's an anomaly, and this may actually be her makeup, but there's an anomaly in her skin tone between her face and her hands. And even though that may be accurate, I would have just blended those a little bit closer just to make it completely consistent. I think that then you'd be, taking up into the high 80s. But I think this is gorgeous. As for cropping the skirt off, I can go both ways on that one. I can understand where my fellow judge is going. It didn't bother me because it's just part of the story, but I also don't like seeing people crop right at joints. So, it's a careful decision. But I think this is beautiful.
All right, great. Thank you, Judge. Yes.
I love it too. The eyes are just piercing. The catch lights are beautiful. Nice soft lighting. I would like to see the outfit just a couple tints, a little bit lighter, personally. Don't compete with the face, but again, it's a little dark in the bottom, but I love the face, love the lighting. I gave it an 82.
Great, Gary. Great additional comments. Thank you, judges, for keeping your focus on how to grow as an artist. So we appreciate that. Great feedback. All right, Dan.
Right, fantastic. Next image is illustrative light in transit. Image scores an 81.
All right, Andrew.
Yes, huge impact when this came around. I love to play off of the light and the shadows. What threw me off a little bit was I wanted perfect symmetry here. And I kept looking at it, like making sure, is it perfect? Is it not? So that center, I'm trying to read what that says. I might need to clean my glasses. Whatever that square circle, put that dead center and have just perfect symmetrical image, almost a yin and a yang type feel of this image with the light on the right side, the dark shadows on the left. Really play into your title with that. But the black and white effect, the post-processing technique, great job keeping the details where it needs to be, keeping the details in the highlights and the shadows. Very impactful image. Great job.
Great, thank you. Dan.
All right, next image is a portrait image. She loves Maryland. Image scores a 79.
Nick.
Sure. I'm at 78 on this image. I think that I like the expression. I think she's the outfit is nice. I think that the presentation is good. The issues I have with her, the leaning pose, this sort of chicken wings pose that people love, I find a little bit kitsch, but that's not really the issue. The issue for me really is that she's leaning, and I don't know that she needs to be. And I think that's exactly how she was. If you look, her scarf is hanging correctly, is vertical, so it's not as if we're off. I find that lean to be uncomfortable. In terms of the lighting, her face should be the center of image, but in fact, her chest and her upper right arm are brighter than her face, so that's drawing the eye away from her face, and we really should be trying to keep the center of focus on there. But I think that so adjust the pose a little bit, adjust the lighting ideally in camera, but if you can't, then do it in post in order to make sure that her face is the brightest point. And that's really just burning down the whole of her upper body just a fraction, and you got a much stronger image.
All right, great.
One
Yeah, go
quick
ahead.
comment. I'd like to brighten the eyes a bit, and I agree with Nick, we need to tone down the dress, but maybe brighten the eyes a bit or sharpen them to make them stand out more.
Great, thank you.
I agree with that.
All right, great feedback, judges. Dan, next image.
Next one is a nature landscape image, majestic. Image scores an 82.
All right, Gary.
I scored an 83. I really like the composition. The river kind of coming in on the right takes it to the picture. You got good foreground, midground, and then the background, everything's just tack sharp. Exposure looks really good. I probably scored a little on the low side. I like to challenge my judges to go up one more category. So I really like this, but I just scored an 83.
All right, so we have a challenge. Everyone will get their chance to speak. So Gary, why don't you elaborate a little bit on your, challenge and why you're challenging, make your pitch, so to speak, to your fellow judges. Yeah.
So I'd like to raise it up to the excellent category. I just think the composition is really good. The exposure's tack on. It's very, very sharp. The colors are great, not oversaturated. Just love the detail in the shadows, detail in the highlights. Again, I think it belongs in an excellent category. I'd like to move it to an 85. My current score is 83.
All right, Andrew, you're next.
Yeah, I'm glad you challenged it. I was at an 84, so I'm on the top end of the deserving of merit. And what really kept me out from going to that excellent is the bright spot in the sky on the right to the right of the mountain. I know that's kind of nitpicking a little bit, but that's demanding my attention. For this image, what I feel the maker wants the center of interest to be is that mountain. So if we would tone down just a little bit of that white strip in the sky, just a tiny bit, and get a little bit more light on the mountain, darken a little bit more of the scene, pop in just a tad bit contrast. I want to be able to look right where the maker wants me to look. And I keep getting distracted by that part in the sky, but I agree with everything you said, which is why high end of the deserving of merit, beautiful sharpness throughout, and well done image.
All right, thank you, Nick.
Well, I was the bad guy on the block. I was at an 80. I definitely think it's a merit image. I definitely agree about the comment about the hot spot in the sky. For me, this image has been taken a million times. I mean, it's a gorgeous spot. It's a nice, well done, solid representation. I would like to see something a little more imaginative, some way of telling the story that hasn't been told before. I mean, it's such an amazing place. So this is solid. It does feel as if it may be slightly tilted to the right. I'm not sure. I know the ground slopes off to the right, but the image has that feeling that I kind of want to see the river running out of the right-hand side of it. So even though it technically should be exactly the way it is. I think it tells the story slightly better if you tilted it just a fraction to the left so that it doesn't feel quite so lopsided. I'm certainly listening to my fellow judges, and I'm prepared to come up a bit on my score.
All right, Gary, finish it off. What's your,
So I would agree. I think we need to tone down the sky a little bit. That doesn't really bother me. I just love the detail. I keep looking at the picture, and everywhere I look, there's detail, and it's sharp. And the colors are great, and the composition's great. And I'd love to see someone hanging on my wall in my house. So again, I'm going to come up to an 85 on my score.
all right.
Sorry, Gary, you said 85, you're coming up?
Yes.
Right. Image scores an 84.
All right, almost, but great job, judges. Great challenge.
Yep.
All right, next image.
Okay, the next image is an illustrative image, Love and Laughter promo.
Can you repeat the title?
Love and Laughter promo. Image scores an 80.
All right, Andrew.
Yes, really enjoyed this image. Beautiful capture of this dancer. Great lens choice, nice compression in the background to really make this subject stand out. I scored an 82, deserving of a merit. What kept me from going a little bit higher, compositionally, I'd like to see her on the right side. Kind of gives me a little bit of I don't want to say uncomfortable feeling with the image, but all of her body energy and language is telling me to go to the left. But yet when I look at this image, I want to go left to right as I'm, following compositional rules. I want to go left to right, but she's telling me, stop going left and let's come back, or stop going right and go left. So I stop at her face, kind of go down her body. Her legs and her arms are telling me to look off the page. So then I have all this negative space on the right of her, which is not adding to the story. It's not adding to anything in the image. So moving her over, cropping that off a little bit, I think would be a stronger composition, stronger image. And then our presentation, I don't hate the tan, matte in the presentation, but maybe something with a little bit more contrast. I don't know if red would work or if that's going to be too bold and take your attention away, but something to just really kind of keep your attention into this image.
Can I comment?
Yes, Gary, go ahead.
So I was the bad guy at 78. Love the dancer, love the pose. What really kept me going higher was I feel her face and skin is just a little bit overexposed. And I really like to see the background toned down. I have to stop because I go from the dancer to the right and looking at the background because it's just so bright. So again, I think you got to tone the dancer's skin down a bit and then really tone the background down a lot. It's a busy background and very distracting. So I'd like to see a plainer, cleaner background for the beautiful dancer.
So I'm gonna weigh in it.
Yep.
So I agree with my fellow judges' comment. Actually, no, I agree with most of the comments. I actually like the negative space to the left because although if you just look at the lines of where she's going, it points to the off to camera left or image right, her right. The reality is that pose is a precursor to a run off to the right if you follow ballet movements. And so I can easily see her then just stepping straight out of that and running off camera right. So from that perspective, the space to the right works. But I do think that the choice of a beige background actually is is hurting this image a lot because it's competing in intensity. The color palette works well. The intensity of the background does. The border does not. And I would really darken that border down. It's going to make the image a lot stronger. Unfortunately, though, when you do that, you'll then need to burn the entire image down a little bit so as not to then give the appearance of being overblown. But I think a much darker background. I like the texture on it, but a darker color. And then just burn
When you're
everything.
saying background, Nick, do you mean the matte?
I mean the matte, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, sorry, the matte itself wants to be burned down. I do like the texture in it, but I would bring it down to almost a chocolate brown or like a dark walnut type color with that same texture, and then burn the entire image down by a half stop, and suddenly you've got something I think that's much, much stronger. It's a very
Great.
subtle change, and I think it would really, really make it pop.
Lots of great feedback for the maker. The image did merit, but interesting feedback to take it to the next level. Appreciate the judges for all that commentary. Thank you. Dan, next image.
Okay, it's a nature landscape image. The beast approaches. Image scores an 83.
All right, Gary.
Oh, man, I got to leave the room. He's going to eat me for dinner. I gave an 85, an excellent category. Just the impact is off the scale. I mean, I'm drawn right to his eyes by the lighting on his face. The feel of action of the paw being raised. It's just like I'm being charged. And I kind of like what the maker's done as far as the background they've done kind of abstract. But to me, the focus is on his mane and on his eyes and just the feel of him coming right at you. So again, I scored an 85.
I'm going to challenge this. The more I look at this, the more I enjoy this image. I was at 83, and I want to challenge this up to get the image up to 85.
All right, go for it. Go for your.
So I mean, I totally agree with Gary's comments. I mean, this is so powerful, and if nothing else, it deserves an extra 10 points just for the chutzpah of standing in front of the line. It's, this is storytelling at its best. And the more I look at it, the more I enjoy it. The more this is the sort of thing you want to see on your wall, and just flinch at every time you see it. It's very powerful. The thing that held me back initially, and I need to take my PPA hat off occasionally, is the lack of presentation. I think with just a tasteful border as well, this would be breathtaking. But I really do think it's good. So judges, let's see if we can bring this up a bit.
All right, Andrew.
Well, I think I was the low guy at an 80 here. As far as the presentation, that doesn't bother me. I think that's something that in 2023, presentation, I think that needs to go away in a way for the right image. So presentation didn't necessarily bother me if lacking a presentation, even though, it is needed. It is one of our 12 elements. I agree with what's been said. It's, it's impactful. It's looking me dead in the eyes. I actually am staring him in the eyes right now, and I can't look away. Catching him in action, we have a strong impact. And it's why I'm at the deserving of a merit. For the reasons I didn't go any higher, is I'm wanting more style, more creativity, something that really shows a uniqueness from the maker on his style, his creativity, that really just takes it kind of that next level, whether it's an editing technique, a retouching technique, something, right? I just want something more to take me up to that next level. But beautiful image, great capture, and hopefully this photographer is living to tell the story after this.
Nick, you get to wrap it up.
Yeah, rebuttal.
Rebuttal.
So there are many images that I think benefit from having photographic techniques. And then there's ones like this that just smack you in the face and tell the story. And I don't think it needs any additional treatment. You've got there's an unusual effect in the background. I'm not sure whether that's intentional, whether that's just a function of the lens. But it doesn't matter. I mean, you've got that separation, you've got that wonderful connection, you've got the movement, and there's some dirt being thrown up by the line, so it's not post, it's actually moving. Just a little bits of dirt there. I mean, even down to the retouching of not removing the little bits of flecks of dirt and so on. This is a moment of at least a walk and possibly a charge that is so powerful. So I think the image stands on its own. As to presentation, yes, 2023, we can maybe get rid of it. I still think it helps to complete the image, because ultimately this belongs in a frame on a wall, and the idea of the mat is that it kind of shows that. But
I have one real quick comment I want to make.
Yes.
I would darken the foreground that's very bright and get rid of those weeds, because I think the bright foreground does take away from the image. So I darken the ground in front of the lion.
And can I add one? I know time wise, and we want to get.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I think also in the right category. I mean, if we're in a reportage or I don't know if it's fit reportage or a photojournalistic category where we can't do anything to this image, yeah, I'm with you, way up there. But we can do something in this category, correct? In the nature landscape.
Yes.
So darkening down that foreground, removing some of the distracting elements, manipulating a little bit could be done.
Great, thank you. Nick, do you want to end on your last pitch?
I think
for the
it's
challenge.
yeah,
Okay.
I think we said all that needs to be said. Let's just
Okay.
restore and bring it up.
All right, let's do it.
Go for 85, guys.
Dan, you're on mute. Do you need me to?
Got it. Image scores an 86.
All right,
Yes.
great job with the challenge.
Nice challenge.
Good job, judges. Great feedback. All right, Dan, are we ready? Well, how about what time are we looking at right now?
It's about
Let's
5
go-
after 7.
Yeah, let's go a little bit
We're-
longer.
Yeah, we're about a
Think
quarter of the
break
way
soon.
through.
Yeah, let's go a little bit more. Yep.
Okay. Next image is an illustrative image, snow day. Image scores an 80.
Nick,
I'm at 83 on this, and my comment to the maker is well done. I just love this. It's very brave to leave that amount of negative space in the sky, and yet in this particular image, it just works. It tells the day. You can feel that sort of flat leaden sky, just with the beautiful white thing. The subtleties in the snow, the post, and so on are really, really gorgeous. There's a hint of deep blacks, so we're getting almost there. I think the presentation's a little heavy-handed, but it's not so bad as to be distracting. But I really, really like this. So I was an 83. I think it's strong. I'm not sure what I would do to bring it up any further. No, really. I like it. I think it's where it belongs.
all right, thank you, Nick. Next image.
Next image is a nature landscape image, monochrome Lone Pine Peak. Image scores an 82.
Andrew,
Yeah, wow, impact right off the bat. This is beautifully handled. We have detail throughout, depth throughout. The makers tell me exactly where to look. Beautiful job framing in the hole in this rock or whatever this is. I think it's a rock, to really focus our attention right to where we need it to be, where the brightest part of the image is the mountain. I think what I was kind of waiting on for the score and trying to figure out is we have this dark spot right in the center above the mountain, and I'm trying to figure out what is causing that. It wasn't enough to bring me down lower. If anything, it kept me from going higher, but we have some dark spots in the top left corner, dead center, right in the top of the arch, and then in the right hand side. If one of my judges could maybe help understand that, maybe I'm missing something, I'd be inclined to challenge this and go higher. But that was what was kind of keeping me from, jumping up into the excellent category.
If I can comment.
Yep. Go ahead, Nick.
I hazard a guess this might be an infrared image. The sky has that feel of it. It's I don't know for certain, but I have a guess. The thing that threw me, I'll be honest, was the title, because this is Mobius Arch, and I didn't expect to, but I get the title, and I agree with the other comments. But I think it might be infrared, and that might be why we're getting that slightly strange effect in the sky. That was kind of what I wrote it down to, because you can see detail in the clouds off the top right, not so much in the upper left, but there's a little bit of cloud detail there, and I think it may be an infrared that we're seeing.
Gary, do you want to add anything?
I just like the overall composition. I like the tonal range is really, really good. And I just love the composition where it takes your eye right to those peaks.
All right. Thank you, judges. Dan, next image.
Okay, next image is another nature landscape image, Busy Bee. Image scores an 81.
All right. Gary.
I scored an 81. I just like the tack sharpness, good exposure. I just love looking at things like this close up. So good job. Since I guess that's what a bee is, the center of interest, I would have toned down the flowers a bit, especially the ones in the background, because your main interest is the bee. And you got the bee right in the center of the photo. So I'd kind of like try to offset that a bit, maybe drop it down a bit. So, try to avoid putting stuff in dead center, but love the sharpness. Well done by the maker. My score is 81.
Great. Thank you, Gary. Next image.
Okay, it's an illustrative image, Siren of the Sea. Image scores an 82.
Andrew.
Yeah, compositionally, positioning her right in that top left third, energy in the motion, kind of taking you across to kind of really take in this beautiful landscape, but also, the technique here and what they had to accomplish in this, nighttime scene here. I mean, we're photographing at 10, 15 seconds here, shutter speed, to get that model to stay still, to capture this really nice composition, to get it to frame her directly in the center with this light wand or whatever they're using. You know, the technique and the skills here, not only to give her nice technique, get her tack sharp, but also put it in a really nice, pleasing composition to the eye with a really nice kind of reflection in the water. Sorry, I was stopping myself a little bit. I guess if we were at a 10-second exposure, I think that water would be a little bit more glacier, if that's even a word. Sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
I was say, yeah, I actually think this is a much shorter exposure than that, and for exactly the reason you just highlighted. But I so wanted to put be way up high on this image. I think the concept is fabulous. The one thing that holds me back is that the lack of light on her, and then you've pushed it really hard to get her back. It's breaking up and she's pixelating quite badly. It's noise, but it's noise that unfortunately is detracting it for me. And if you could have brought just a fraction to the maker, if you could have brought just a hint of light onto her so you didn't have to have such a big difference in exposure, it would have been breathtaking. I mean, definitely go back and do this again and just find a way to light her so that it doesn't break up. And I think you're onto something that's a really strong image. But conceptually, it's stunning. So I was a protest vote at 79.
All right. Thanks, judges. Thanks for the great feedback. All right, Dan, next image.
Okay, this one's a photojournalism image. Now what? Image scores a 79.
All right, Nick.
So you probably heard me chuckling. I think the title is priceless. No, I think that the timing of the capture is absolutely stunning. Images like this very often are hard to merit, and it's because in a PJ there's a limit to what you can do. I think the timing on this is absolutely superb and very difficult to do. I've tried it, believe me. Compositionally, I think it would be nice if you could have moved him off to a rule of thirds, just crop in a little bit from the right, or crop in from the left. Doesn't really matter, either way would work in order to put him onto a corner. But I think that just the timing and the skill of capturing that moment, that it's tack sharp, is worthy of a merit. I was at 82. And in fact, I'd like to challenge this. I think this is a merit-worthy image, even though it would be nice to see a little bit more contrast and so on. I think that the timing is so good that we should reward the maker for getting that.
All right, Gary, you're up. We're going to challenge. Yep.
I shoot a lot of surfing. I'm at a 77, so I'm the bad guy. You put it right in the center, and I think it needs to you need to crop off on the right side to kind of have him more coming into the picture. You can do some dodging and burning in PJ, and I think he's just a little dark. And I don't know if you can lighten it a little bit and keep the PJ rules there. But my probably issue was the composition and just the lighting was a report. And again, you're PJ, but that's what I would do. Again, I was a 77.
All right, Andrew.
Yeah, sometimes I struggle with the photojournalism category because, I always want to manipulate and do something to the images. So I am listening and I'm willing to come up with the technique and this capture. I mean, he is tack sharp and, this is a really nice capture, but for the most part, I mean, it's all been said.
All right, great. Nick, rebuttal?
No, I think it's been said.
All right, I think we can rescore.
What were you challenging it to?
I was challenging it to be merit. It came up at 79.
Image scores an 80.
All right, great job, great challenge. Thank you. Next image.
Okay, next image is nature landscape, the Lion King. Image scores an 80.
All right, Gary.
So I scored an 81. I'm assuming the same maker as the last lion. I kind of like the image, I like the composition, good exposure. I'm seeing a lot of noise, so I'm presuming that's a very high ISO, that where we get so much noise. And I think some of the noise takes away the detail I'd like to see in the lion. So I would recommend that the maker try using the Topaz denoise application to kind of take some of the noise out there and bring the sharpness back to it. Again, if it was a little sharper and less noise, I would definitely go up to the excellent category. My score is 81.
All right. Did anyone else want to add anything? I just,
Yeah, I'll add
what
a
I
little
saw.
bit of that.
Okay, just,
I was a bad guy. I was at 78 for exactly the same reasons. The other thing, the area where the noise I find most distracting is in the out of focus grass at the front, right in the foreground. And I would have actually just out of, given that you can manipulate the image, I would have just brought a bit of grass from elsewhere, forgone the foreground there and just made sure that you had something that was less noisy, less distracting. Because my eye just keeps getting drawn to that and getting annoyed by it. But I think that the composition is good. It's solid. The noise though is really, really distracting, particularly that bit.
all right. Thank you, judges. Image did merit, so congratulations, maker. And next image, Dan.
Also a nature landscape image, cactus forest in Baja. Image scores a 78.
Andrew.
Yeah, I was a little not confused on the clouds. The clouds look like they're painted, but then the cactus or cacti and the mountains in the foreground are not, and then maybe a little bit in the background in the mountain. So I was a little confused on that, just kind of trying to figure that out a little bit. Compositionally, I like the kind of triangular symmetrical composition, placing the horizon in the dead center. I think we could move that horizon up a little bit, kind of put that in that top third, just to do a little bit less sky, because that sky is pretty bright. Toning down that sky a little bit to kind of focus on the mountain, which is, I'm assuming our center of interest here, could really help with the kind of tonality of the image. But the clouds are what's really taking me away. And why would those be painted, but then nothing else is? Unless I'm missing something.
Thank you, Andrew. Thanks for that feedback. Dan, next image.
Okay, it's a senior image, reptile royalty. Image scores an 80.
Nick,
So I'm probably the bad guy here. I'm at 78, and I really want to love this image, and there's a couple of things that are frustrating me with it. The first is, I mean, she's, the pose is nice. I find her eyes all the way hard off to the left to be distracting. There's no sclera showing, or minimal sclera showing to her left of her eyes. So bring her eye, if you're going to have her looking off center, maybe turn her head rather than just the eyes, would give a stronger pose. Lighting's beautiful. The biggest challenge is I don't know where to look. I'm drawn between the snake and her face. The snake is the most highest contrast part of the image. Her face is the brightest part of the image. So I kind of bounce between the two. I find that a little frustrating. If you could have maybe posed the snake a bit higher to bring me up to a central story, that might have told the story a little bit better. So I think turn her head a bit to the left, bring the eyes so that they're a little more central in the eyes so that you actually see some sclera on both sides, and then maybe bring the snake up and you'd have a much more powerful image. But I think, I'm sure she loved it. This, I'm sure, is an image that got a lot of green merits.
all right, thanks, Nick. Yes.
So since the snake's part of the story, I would like to see more contrast between the snake and her body, and maybe a different colored dress, because the snake doesn't stand out against the black dress. Maybe like Nick said, if you raise the snake up higher, it'd be more prominent and stand out more. But I just think it's not enough contrast between the snake and her dress. And I give it a 78.
Thank you, judges. Thanks for the feedback. And the image did merit. So yeah, thank you guys. Next image.
Okay, the next image is another nature landscape image, Dancer of the Sea. Image scores an 84.
Well, Nick, you're up. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to challenge it. I think this is stunning, absolutely stunning. I'm going to add 10 points on because I'm terrified of jellyfish, but I'm a scuba diver and these things scare the living daylights out of me. But no, this is absolutely beautiful. The color is gorgeous. The composition is lovely. The detail is impressive. To get the whole thing in focus, that well captured is truly, truly impressive. Whether it was shot in an aquarium or the sea doesn't really matter. It's lovely. If I had comments in the very, very minor, there's a couple of little bits and pieces that I would have taken out of the image, and they're just flecks of stuff in the water. But there's up at the sort of upper quadrant, slightly left of center, there's a few little white bits and pieces, and then a couple in the lower right. I would take those away just to let the background go pure black. But beyond that, I really think this is a very, very impressive capture, and it's just beautiful.
All right, Gary.
I love the image. I scored 83, and I'm definitely willing to come up. I've tried photographing jellyfish and have not been successful. So I love what the maker did here. The sharpness is just amazing, being shot through glass. A couple comments. The umbrella I find just a little bit too bright. If you could tone the, again, we call it the hood umbrella, just down a couple tenths. I just find it just too bright. And then maybe on the kind of the tail to the right, maybe a little more exposure there, so it's kind of evenly lit. But great capture and just sharpness, and I'd love to know how you did this. 83, and again, I'm ready to go higher.
All right, Andrew.
84, top end of the deserving of merit category. The little white spots are the only thing that kept me out from going higher. Everything else has been said.
All right, rebuttal, Nick.
I think it's all been said. I don't find the main body, and I can't remember the term of it, to be too bright, but I can understand the comment there. I actually quite like the gradient because it brings the eye back to the main body of the animal. But I could see it going both ways, but I quite like that. But I think, take out the little white spots and you're up into the 90s. But so hopefully my judges will join me in 85.
All right, let's rescore.
85.
All
Thank you.
right, great job. I know we're nearing a break. That was a great challenge. I don't want to take away from critique, but maybe I think I'm also being a little slow. We might want to speed it up a little and then we'll go for a break in a little bit. I think we should still hit a few more images. Does that sound good?
Sure.
All right.
So the next image is a digital artistry image, coat of many colors. Image scores an 80.
All right, Andrew.
Yeah, digital artists, I mean, I'm looking this kind of level of difficulty on what was achieved to create this image in the end. And, you know, I think the technique is good, but I want to see more. Also, looking at the reference image compared to the actual image, it looks like part of the top of the wing was clipped off. And that's what kind of took me a while to respond. I was trying to like look closely to see, but it looks almost, I don't know if it was on purpose, it was something they missed, but kind of threw me off of why that top part of the feather, sorry, not the wing, the feather was kind of clipped off there. You know, I scored an 80, deserving of merit.
All right, thank you. Dan, next image.
Okay, next image is in the pet category, doing her best. Image scores a 79.
Gary.
I scored an 80, deserving of merit. I just love the sharpness of the head. The eyes are very, very, very piercing. I would like to see it cropped in tighter because I don't think the negative space above the dog's head does anything. So again, crop it in tighter. And it's an artistic choice to basically focus on the head, but I'd kind of like the whole dog in focus. But again, Maker clearly chose to focus on the head, and I agree with that. But it's a lovely picture of the dog. And again, my score was 80.
Just to add to that for the Maker, the nose is what's in focus.
Yes.
The eyes are not.
Okay.
So if I can just, I just want to add to Andrew's comment. I agree. And in fact, for a shot like this, you should focus probably 1/3 to halfway back on the nose. So you've got, and if you did that, you could still get the tip of the nose in focus, but you could then be in focus back as far as the ears. And that would really tell the story much, much more strongly. It's hard to do, but it's one of the reasons I don't shoot pets. But if you could, get that position, that focus about 1/3 of the way back on the nose, I think you'd have a much stronger image. But I think it's cool. It's just cute.
All right, thank you, judges. Next image.
And next one is a nature landscape image, Eye of the Storm.
Can you repeat the title?
Eye of the Storm. Image scores an 82.
Gary, do you want to?
I wanted to challenge this.
Hear this?
I scored an 87. When this image appeared on the screen, I was literally pushed back in my seat by the impact. I just love the way they framed it. I love the detail in the rock, the exposure, the sky. It's just really dramatic. And you get that person there, can give you perspective there. So I just think it's a well done image. The composition's well done. I think, yeah, I gave it 87. So I challenged my judges to bring it to the excellent category.
All right, Andrew.
I agree with Gary right off the bat. The impact, kind of made me take a step back in my seat a little bit, and then kind of looking at a little bit where I was having trouble is what is lighting up the inside of the arch, and still getting that tonality of the sky. So then it got me looking a little closer, and it appears the sky is placed in the image. Because it appears to be a cutout on kind of a well done cutout, but it doesn't, the tonality of the scene just doesn't make sense for me. So if you can explain that to me, I'm willing to come up a little.
Okay, Nick.
I must be the bad guy. I was at 78 for exactly the reasons that who was just speaking?
Andrew.
So I was getting confused there. Andrew said, I agree. It definitely is a cutout. I mean, there's a couple of points where you can see it is very well done, but there's a point about if you look at about between 10:30 and 11 in the opening of the arch where you can see that there's a tiny separation between the images placed in. I'll be honest, I found the person distracting. This is really 3 photographs. And each one of them in their own right is very impressive. I could see the person in the arch telling a story. I think that the arch on its own with something somewhat, nondescript in the background would be good. But the lighting in the arch and the lighting in the storm, I can't reconcile those two together at all. And the storm sky with a different foreground would be gorgeous. I just don't find them fitting together personally. I'm listening, but I don't quite get it. Sorry.
And if you've ever been to this location too, finding one person up there is almost impossible. You always have about 600 people sitting in that arch.
Well, that's also true, but
All right, Gary, you get a rebuttal.
Yeah, I think I'm going to come down on my score based on my judge's comments there. I still think it's a very nice photo, very impactful, and I agree there is a disconnect in lighting there. But I still think, it looked good in the wall, and the impact, I think, is really good. But I'll be coming down from 87.
All right, please rescore.
Image scores an 81.
All right, thanks for that great commentary and all the insightful thoughts that you guys have given this image. All right, let's move on to the next image.
All right. The next image is a nature landscape image, Goth Tree.
what was the title again?
Goth Tree.
Goth Tree. Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Image scores an 80.
Gary.
I scored an 82. I kind of like the composition. I think it's very daring of the maker to have that much negative space in it. But I just like the texture in the sand, the placement of the tree, and just kind of the contrast between the gray in the bottom and the bright sky. So again, my score is 82.
All right, thank you. Next image.
All right, Janet, just
Yeah.
a very quick comment.
Yep.
Just on the presentation, I find the presentation slightly oppressive, but one comment there, the outer stroke, that very heavy white stroke, If you want to get square corners, you need to do an inner stroke, not an outer stroke. If you do an outer stroke, you'll get those rounded corners, and I find those really, really distracting. I know a lot of other judges have commented on those. So if you're going to put a separate, put a separate border and then put an inner stroke, and you'll get the sharp corners.
And then just
right.
add one small thing.
Yep.
I agree with the stroke line, and then the inside black line is not even. So if you look at the bottom left corner, the right in the middle, in between the image and the stroke line, you'll notice the left side is a little smaller than the bottom side. So just even that out.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, judges. Next image.
Okay, the next one is a photojournalism image, bath time. Image scores an 83.
All right, Andrew, you're up.
Yes, actually, can I challenge this up to an 85?
Yes, go for it.
So I scored this in 85 here in a photojournalistic category. I mean, there's no manipulating, there's no really control here except for some minor things. But so much is going on here, so many stories that are happening. It's just taking my eye left to right, top to bottom. I'm going around and I'm seeing so much personality, so much character, so much story in almost every group, if not each individual person. So capturing this just at that right time, that perfect timing, and then having that subject kind of the bottom right corner, hands in the face with the other guy, hand on his, it's really everything I do is coming back to them. And then with the title bath time, I mean, this is a moment in time, and this is what this country, this is natural in this country, and they captured this storytelling aspect of this culture just beautifully. And in the photojournalistic category, I excellent category come up.
All right, Gary.
Again, I've scored 83, and I'm definitely willing to come up. I keep looking around, and it's just, there's so much detail. There's so much going on. It's a great capture. Only thing that really bothers me on the left side, you kind of cut off something. You got the kind of white outfit there, but I don't know if you could really, if you cut that out, you'd probably cut into lady in purple. But and the person on the right side is kind of half cut off. But again, that's one of those things you may have no control over. But again, score of 83 and definitely willing to come up.
All right, Nick.
I would agree with all the comments that other judges have made. I was at 81, and I'm certainly prepared to come up. On the cropping side, I mean, the people on the left, there's not a whole lot you can do. It would have been really nice to have either included or excluded the person bottom right-hand corner, because they're hard, they're clearly bathing, and it would have been nice to see them. If this is a full frame, it is what it is. If there's a little bit more, then bring it in.
All right, thank you, Nick. Andrew, rebuttal?
Yeah, I'm not hearing, I guess, too much besides that left-hand side and the cropping. That's actually what kept me from going up even higher in the superior category, was that, the cropping on the left, the bottom left, and then like half, like top third, the white there. But they also have no control over that, but I think that cropping is what's keeping me from going even higher. I don't think it should keep me from going down to a deserving of a merit.
All right, thank you, judges. Let's rescore.
Image scores an 84.
All right, up 1 point. All right, thanks for that challenge and all the insightful comments. All right, let's move on to next image.
Give me just 1 second here. All right, next image is an illustrative image, floral leotard dancewear, excuse me. Image scores a 79.
All right, Nick.
I'm at a 79 on this image, and I think that it's interesting. If I listen to the title, this is a commercial image about the leotard, in which case I would have come down from my 79 because it doesn't really highlight the leotard. It's slap bang in the center. It's not really very high contrast and doesn't really come out. But if I ignore that for a moment and look at the overall image, I like the composition. I think that her pose is beautiful. It's a little styled, but I think I do like that. And so I think as an overall image, it's very strong. I think it's brave to allow the background to be that bright, but it actually works well. The lighting on her face is beautiful. And I do like the edge lighting on her legs. I think that's it tells the story. It's very consistent. Tiny technical detail again on the key line. You've got an outer stroke, not an inner stroke. So the outside lines, outside corners are rounded, and I would definitely do an inner stroke so that you get those nice sharp corners. But I was at a 79, and I think with a different title, I could have maybe come up with the same title. I'd have, in commercial, I'd have come down. So I'm slightly conflicted.
All right.
A real quick comment there. I would have cropped off the top a bit because I don't think that does you any good. And it's so bright, it takes my eyes from the dancer to the bright windows in the top. So again, I'm okay with the bright background. Just crop off a couple inches off the top so I can focus on the dancer.
All right. Great job, judges. Thank you. All right, Dan, next image.
Okay, the next image is an illustrative category image, the conclave.
So what category was this again?
Illustrative.
Illustrative. Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Image scores an 84.
All right. I
Okay.
was trying to
I'll
debate
challenge.
between Gary and Nick, but it's Andrew. Go for it.
And what, who to call, you mean?
Yeah, I was waiting
Oh.
for your score, and I'm like, which one? And then it's yours.
Yeah. So as I kind of mentioned earlier, presentation, I can overlook sometimes the presentation, but I think this one just takes me away a little bit. I am almost in superior category here if it wasn't for the presentation. What took me so long was I was really analyzing this image because just what a beautiful the symmetry here where assuming the sun here, no, can't be the sun. What is that in the middle? Do you think that's the sun? Directing our attention with all these leading lines of the building. And then when I get in a little closer, it appears the sharpness kind of falls off on the top of the buildings. But then I really like that. I think that was done intentionally to really kind of draw your attention into the textures of the building, drawing your attention kind of up to the center of the frame, which is just demanding attention, dead center. I don't see really any technical issues with this. I see detail where I need to see detail. I see, I'm in love with this image. I think this is great. I'd love to hear who's the low guy.
Did you challenge this, Andrew?
Yeah, I challenged
You
it.
did.
An
Okay. So,
89.
all right, let's go Gary next.
Yeah, I was an 86, and I can go higher. I just love the tonal range from black to white. The composition is great. It leads me to that sun there. It's a very unusual angle. And again, I just love the black and white rendition of this photo. And so I'm at 86, and I'm ready to go higher.
All right, Nick.
Okay, I've got shields up. I'm at 78, sorry. I'm the bad guy. And I so wanted to love this image for all the reasons that my fellow judges has said. But unfortunately, the technical aspects to it just destroy it for me. There's banding in the sky. If you look, there's 2 lines of banding all the way around the sun, which are really distracting. And then at the tops of the building, I don't know quite why, but there's black lines around the top of the 2 left-hand buildings and the lower of the right-hand buildings around that top, which is, I mean, it's pitch black and it looks like it's an issue with the mask slipping or something, but those are just killing it for me. And it's so almost a really, really strong image, but the technical issues are just killing me. Sorry, guys.
All right, Andrew, rebuttal.
Nick, why'd you have to say that?
Sorry.
It's the black lines. I didn't see the black lines before. I don't see banding personally, unless, yeah, I don't see banding. I was trying to look when you were talking, but yeah, the black lines, I can't explain that. I'm
on a wide gamut monitor, so that may be what it is. But yeah, there's very clear banding around pretty much all the way, and it's lined up with the buildings. Lower right, center, lower left, lower, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Not so much at the top, but all the way around the lower half.
And unfortunately, I can't see that, but the black lines do it. And I will trust your judgment, and that's the beauty of this team. We work as a team.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right.
Well, then I'm still deserving of a merit, but I will be lowering my score to a 83.
All right, judges rescore.
Image scores an 82.
All right, still a merit image. Congratulations to the maker and great feedback, judges. All right, we're gonna go, let's just go to 8 o'clock. So go a few more minutes, take a break. So
Okay.
Next image.
And just real quick on that, if the maker's listening, fix some of those things, because I could see this going really high at IPC, or I guess whatever they're calling it now. But this could go really high if you fix what was said.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Okay. Next image is a photojournalism image, the DeMar jump. Image scores an 81.
All right, let's see. Gary.
I scored an 82. Nice capture, great timing, tack sharp, exposure looks really good. I kind of find the drums a little bit distracting, but it's part of the story there. And again, exposure him's good. So again, given it's PJ, you really can't do too much else. But again, I think it's a nice capture. Again, score is 82.
All right, thank you, Gary. Next image.
And next is in nature landscape category, peaking in Aspendell. Image scores a 79.
All right, Nick.
I think this is a solid 80. I think it's a nice image. I'll be honest, I don't quite understand the title, but that's okay. I think this is an image that wants to be on a hotel room wall. It's one of those beautiful, comfortable images that just makes you want to be there and feel a little bit of nature. I think the presentation is good and is in keeping with the image. I don't generally like light borders, but this one actually works. The focus is consistent and good through. I think the lighting's good. You've got nice deep blacks where they need to be. We've got some bright highlights that are not blown out. So I think it's a well done, solid, merit image. I'm at an 80, and I'd like to actually challenge it and see it coming up to an 80.
All right, Andrew.
Damn it.
I guess I'm the bad guy here. 77, above average image. Nice presentation, doesn't take away from the image. Where I was struggling a little bit is kind of center of interest. Like, yes, that is that an aspen tree? Aspen tree on the right third, is definitely our focus here. That's where they're focused on. That's where they want us to look. But then I'm looking all around the leaves. We have the leaves in the background are actually brighter than the tree. And then we have that really bright spot of the leaves in the bottom left corner that keeps taking my attention away from where I feel should the center of interest be, which is in that right aspen tree. So for those reasons, above average 77.
All right, Gary.
I scored an 80, serving of a merit. I kind of like my focus on the tree on the right, and then kind of go into the forest there, and I can almost see myself walking among those trees there. I agree with the bottom left corner needs to be kind of toned down or taken out there. But I kind of like the brightness of the back because, again, my eye starts at the tree on the right, and the brightness takes me through the forest. Yeah, my score was an 80.
All right, Nick, rebuttal.
The rebuttal, I mean, I think it's been said for the most part. I don't find the leaves in the lower left to be in any way distracting because they're completely consistent with the rest of the story. And this is a story about a scene. Yes, we've got that nice sort of scar in the aspen tree in the foreground, which gives us a place to end up. But this is about an entire scene, and I like being taken around it. I agree with Gary. I want to just go walking in there and just relax and enjoy nature. And if I were just taken to the one place, I would be losing out on the experience of the entire image. So, as I say, it's one of those images that it's a feel-good comfort image. It's not, a smack you in the face. But it's got a wonderful, peaceful, serene feel to it.
All right, thank you. Let's rescore.
Image scores an 81.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, great job, guys. All right, let's do 2 more images and then we'll take a break.
Okay. Next image is an illustrative image, Thirsty. Image scores an 81.
All right, Andrew.
Yeah, storytelling here, off the charts here. It took me a while to kind of figure out what's going on, and then I went back to the title of Thirsty, and really got into the story. But they easily could have just positioned these stuffed animals, a beer bottle, and been kind of done with it. But I think they took it a little step farther and really positioned the animals in a way where we're kind of creating a nice triangular composition. Is taking us throughout the image. They positioned where the heads should be looking. Everything is directing our attention in, and they're kind of taking us on a journey around the image, around this bottle. Not only that, they're framing this bottle to kind of focus our attention into the main interest of the story, which is thirsty, and these stuffed animals are thirsty. Room for improvement. I think we have too much matte in the image. We could probably crop that in or make the image a little larger so it's a little bit less of a matte. But I thoroughly enjoy this image for the storytelling, and everything else has been said.
All right, Nick.
Yeah, I'm the bad guy. I was at 77 on this image. And I agree with Andrew's comments, but for one thing, and that is that for me, the lighting is too hard. And I don't think that the hard light helps the image at all. I think it would be a much stronger image with a softer light. You still want to see shadow, but I would like to see much, much softer shadows, a little bit more direction to light, particularly on the bottle, which is almost flat. And then the white spot on I'm not quite sure who he is, but the guy up at the top there with Cuba, was it Cutie? The white spot on his nose, I'd like to see that burnt down just a fraction because my eye gets stuck there. I don't think it's a nice piece of storytelling. Like I said, with a softer light, I think it would have been stronger. And then the other thing is pull the seals, or is he a seal or a walrus? No, he's not a walrus. Sea lion, maybe. Pull.
Uh-oh.
It's
Oh,
just a
sorry.
fraction of. Sorry.
No, I got distracted by it. Michelle, are you on the Zoom?
Okay, I would pull his
I
nose
just
just a fraction back, just so you can see the full subject of the bottle, and then maybe turn the bottle a fraction so you can see the full title. That way, then it also has an option to be a commercial image for the bottle itself. But I do like the storytelling.
And just a
Great.
small comment, I know this isn't a challenge or anything, but if it was, I would say the hard lighting actually makes sense in my opinion, because this is in a children's room and we have a hard fluorescent light right above them that's shining down, where they didn't have a nice studio setting, to kind of capture this. But that would, I guess, be my rebuttal.
You're in a children's room. You must be English.
All right, great job. Great feedback. All right, I think we'll do one more image.
Okay. The next one is photojournalism. Big Sister is watching.
You say this is in photojournalism?
Correct. Image scores an 83.
All right, Gary.
I want to challenge that. I scored an 85. I just think impact is just off the scale. And just you see the big eyes of the painted picture there on the wall. And then you start looking around and you see the three characters that are all different and kind of what's going on here. And it's a fun storytelling picture. And I think it deserves to be at least an excellent category. So again, my score was 85.
All right, Andrew.
I scored an 80, deserving of a merit. Well done, beautiful image. Where I'm struggling is, what does the maker want me to look at? Is it the eyes in the graffiti wall? Because that's demanding my attention because of the whites in the eyes. Or is it the girl on the left, the guy or girl in the center, or the girl on the right? There's a lot going on. And I don't know exactly where my eyes should land. And then when my eyes are kind of traveling around this image, I then have this very bright stroke happening. And it kind of takes me away from enjoying this storytelling piece of art. And then just a side note, not a huge deal, but the stroke is not even top to the right. They're all different, or maybe it's just the right side is a little thicker and the top is a little thinner. Not consistent, but that wouldn't necessarily change my score that much, but just something to point out. It's more the bright white of that stroke, and then where my eyes, I don't have a place for my eyes to land.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, Nick.
It's been said.
All right, Gary, rebuttal.
Again, I go to the eyes of the painting and it just draws me in. And then I just kind of go to the three characters. So there's four subjects, the painting and the three characters. The white stroke, little bright, but again, I kind of bounced off that back in the picture. So I find a lot to look at, and I just really interesting composition of three subjects or four subjects.
All
So I'm going
right.
to stay at 85.
All right. Thank you, judges. Let's rescore.
Image scores an 83.
All right. All right, wonderful. Let's take a 10-minute break. What time will that'll be? 8, let's go 8:11, according to my phone. So mute yourselves and we're gonna get started. And again, thank you, judges, for the great feedback. Let's keep it to one judge, unless there's absolutely something we'll just get to that point real quick. We don't want to keep from the, makers getting the feedback, but we'll try to keep it to one judge. All right, Dan.
Okay. Next image, pet, category, autumnal adventure.
And there we go.
Image scores an 80.
Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, definitely impact the makers, forcing me where to look here. At first, I'm not. So I think if we utilized rule of thirds, different compositional technique, I don't think it would be as powerful. I actually enjoy the dead center, not dead center, but the centering of the face, because it's demanding attention. It's demanding you to look at it. Creating with the ears, the face, the pose of the dog, kind of creating a nice triangular composition. It's focusing right where I want to look. I do feel it's lacking a little bit of a storytelling within the title. Autumn Adventure, is that what it was?
Autumnal Adventure.
Autumnal. I think if we had a little bit more story, it would help it go up a little higher. But I really enjoy this image. Everything about it.
All right, Nick, you want to do one quick comment? Because I feel like you're going to want to.
So actually, I do think that cropping it in would help a lot. And the other thing is, for this shot, I think it would be much stronger if you could remove the harness and just have the pet on his or her. I can't see her own. I think that would be stronger. But I think the big thing is cropping in a little bit. And I find that really bright yellow behind her a little distracting. I'd like to see that burnt down a bit. But I think, the posing of the dog is phenomenal. I have enormous respect to anyone who can pose a dog that way, because I just can't. I don't shoot pets for that reason, at least not small ones. But I think it would be stronger, cropped in and framed. I was at 78 for those reasons.
All right, thank you guys. All right, next image.
Okay, it's a nature landscape category. Tank mates. Image scores a 77.
Gary.
I scored it a 78. Find an interesting picture. Is its eye focused? I'm not sure if the eye's in focus or not. But I guess I'm not as sharp as I'd like to see it there. But interesting picture, interesting capture. Again, I scored at 78.
All right. Would you give one thing, Gary? One thing to improve it. Like, what could they make?
I think I'd try to try to lighten it up a little bit on the right so I can see more detail. It just seems kind of dark, and I'm not seeing good detail in the I guess the scales.
All right. Thank you, Gary. All right. Next image.
Sorry, John. I know you were very quick.
No, go ahead.
If you can shade the lens so that you don't get the reflections off the glass. There's a number of light spots that I think are reflections, and if you can get rid of those, it'll be stronger.
Okay. And thanks,
tough.
Nick. Sometimes your video's gone, so if I didn't see you this time.
Oh, mine?
It was gone, like from my feed.
Oh, okay.
I can see you now, but in the past, I was seeing you raise your hand, but you weren't on the
so
screen
I
this
didn't
time.
raise my hand on that one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. All right. Next image.
It's an illustrative category image. Impending chaos. Image scores an 85.
All right, Andrew.
So I scored this a 90. There is so much happening here. And I was already in, I think, excellent before I even noticed the cat. And then I kind of went into the title, Impending Chaos. There's just, storytelling at its finest. Everything is placed perfectly. I don't even know what I could critique on this. Just storytelling alone puts me already up really high here. The lighting, the textures, there's sharpness throughout. The composition of offsetting this cat with the dead center vase with the flowers here. Compositionally, it just takes me around with the scissors or the scissors in kind of the foreground that's helped framing the cat's face, and then just placing the cat's eyes right at that table, just piercing right into the camera. And then we have really nice lighting that's happening on the cat. Whether this was a composite or not, that lighting is matching that vase, the flowers, everything is done beautifully and perfectly. I'm at the low end of superior here.
Are you challenging?
Oh yeah, I thought I already said that. Sorry, challenge.
Okay. All right, great. All right, Nick, go for it.
I was going to challenge. So I was the bad guy at 83, and I'm definitely way, way lower. The more I look at this, the more I see in it. I totally agree with all the comments. It's hard to know what to do different or better. I mean, it's gorgeous. It made me chuckle, and that alone is worth a few points. So it's cool. I'm definitely coming up. I was at 83, and I'm going to be up in I think up into the high 80s, low 90s.
All right, Gary.
Yeah, I agree. I was low at 82. And the more I look at it, the more I love the picture. It's just very sharp. It's a fun picture. It's well done, well planned out. I can definitely come up to the excellent category.
All right, Andrew, you want to rebuttal?
I don't think a rebuttal is necessary.
All right, let's rescore.
Image scores an 89.
All right, congratulations, maker. Great job, judges. All right, let's go to the next image.
Okay. Next image is a pet image. Do I have to? Image scores a 79.
All right, Nick.
Protest vote 79. It's so nearly an 85. Just the eye. I don't know what's going on with the eye, but it's so bright. It looks like it's illuminated and coming out from there. I think the pose is fabulous and the storytelling is great. I would burn down the the blaze or whatever you call it, but anyway, the white spot on the chest just a fraction. But the eye is so bright. I don't know whether it's artificially lit or what, but that's destroying it for me. So I intentionally voted it to a 79, hoping that you get a chance to resubmit it and just knock the ball out of the park and win the show.
All right, thank you, Nick. Next image.
Next image is digital artistry, rising up. Image scores an 85.
All right, Gary.
Okay, I love this image. I think from a technical point of view, it was a very complex composition to put together, and they did a really good job there. I love the focus is on the model, and her face is the brightest thing. Her hands take me up to the doves there. I love the kind of cape flowing around here, and the background's really nice. So again, I was very happy with the score with the image.
That made it to the next category. Yep. All right, great. Yes, Nick?
So very, very quick comment.
Yeah.
I agree with Gary's comments. I think it's exceptionally well done, except for the right wing of the camera left dove, where the mountain is showing through more than I think it should for the feathers. I get the concept. I think you just need to make it show less, and then it would be more believable. It makes sense to the tool of her dress where the mountain is showing through, but the mountain showing through just a little bit too much on that wing. Soften it and back it down a bit, and you've got an amazing image. But I think it's gorgeous.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, judges. All right, next image.
Okay, it's a photojournalism image. Gnarly. Image scores a 79.
Nick?
I'm at 81. Maybe I don't shoot enough surf, and so I think this is. I think timing's great. I like the position. I like the composition. She's got room to move into the image. You've got amazing detail on the wave behind her that really sort of gives a sense of what she's going through. Focus looks to be good. It's right on the limits, but I think she's in focus. So I was at an 81. I think it's a solid merit image.
All right, thank you, Nick. Next image.
Okay, next one is a portrait. Intense teen beauty. Image scores an 81.
Let's see, Andrew.
Yeah, great job with the lighting. I mean, we have great loop lighting here. Catch lights are at 10 o'clock, at 2 o'clock, where I scored an 80, by the way. What kept me from going any higher is we have a very static pose here. I'd like to see a little more dynamic with the pose. The shoulders are kind of on the same plane. Even though you can't see the elbows are in the same plane, the eyes are in the same plane. And then we have a slight turn on the facial view, where if she was more straight on and her shoulders were straight on and we really demanded power in this, as the title says, intense teen beauty, I want everything to be straight on, perfectly symmetrical, shoulders square to the camera, face square to the camera. But since we turned her a little bit and have that more of a 2/3 facial view, and the body turned a little bit, it's taking me away. And I just want a little more dynamic in the posing. Drop a shoulder a little bit, shift her back, lean her forward a little bit, just create more of action in the posing.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Nick? Yeah.
Very quickly, 2 comments. Take the second catch lights out. I think they're distracting and they're not, and it's easy to do. And I would, for my taste, the face is a little bit over softened, but I agree with all of Andrew's comments apart from that.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that feedback. All right, next image.
Okay, the next one is a nature landscape image engulfed by fall. Image scores an 81.
Gary.
I scored an 83. It's a very pleasant image. I'd like to visit there. I like the composition. The man, the dog kind of gives a a good feeling to it there. Colors are good. Composition's good. Maybe I'd tone down the reflection a little bit. Other than that, I thought it's a good image. Score of 83.
All right, thank you. Next image.
It's a pet image, the mighty Leopold. Image scores an 84.
All
Gotcha.
right, well, we're gonna, yep, go for it, Andrew.
Okay, so I guess somebody's seeing something I'm not. I mean, if anybody's ever photographed cats, a very difficult thing to do, but difficulty is not necessarily a 12th element. You know, we have great composition. I enjoy the negative space. The negative space is really making me look at this cat. I think if we cropped in any closer, got less of the chest there, less of the top, I don't think it would be as storytelling. We have this kind of small cat in this big world, so to speak. But where does your attention goes right to that face, those eyes looking directly in that camera. I mean, and then the processing and the technique that was used, you know, throughout this image is just beautiful, and it's holding my attention to look right where the maker wants me to look, right in that top right third. You know, there's a little bit of grain in the image, and actually I think that adds to the stylistic effect. The presentation is beautiful. Everything about this is, you know, just superior. So now there's got to be a bad judge. What am I missing?
We're going to you. Go for it, Nick.
I'm the bad guy. I was at 78, and I'm probably overly harsh. In terms of posing, sharpness, and so on, I 100% agree. I just find the lighting flat, and I would like to have seen. I think with such a strong pose, with such a strong, technical background, if we could have seen more direction and so on, we'd see much more shape and form. But I find the cat's face and body just to be lacking in depth because of the direction of light. And I would just love to have seen much strong, a little bit more dramatic lighting to really tell the story that is potentially there. I'm not sure if you're challenging. If you are, then I will come up.
Yes, he's challenging.
Okay, in that case, yeah, I will come up.
All right, Gary.
I gave an 84, and I was debating about going to excellent category, and I regret I didn't. Again, as someone who's tried to photograph cats, trying to get the pose is great. I would have gone higher, but I think there's too much negative space. I don't think it adds to the photo, so I would do a closer crop, because the cat's interesting. The whiskers are sharp, the fur is sharp. So again, I would crop in tighter, but definitely I'm willing to go up.
All right, Andrew, rebuttal.
With the cropping, I enjoy negative space. I love space. To me, space tells a story. Falling into the title, the Mighty Leopold, I think he looks mighty. He looks powerful. So, you know, for me, I think the spacing, the negative space is perfect. I think if you got in closer, you'd lose a little bit of the story. As far as the lighting goes, I enjoy the lighting. I think if we went more dramatic, we would lose a little bit of detail in some of the darker areas. You know, I see shadows. I see a little bit of depth. You know, could it be more dramatic? Of course, but I think it works for this image. It works for the title. Superior 90, come join me.
All right, judges, rescore.
I always hate when judges say that when you listen to like PP and they're like, come join me. And it's like one of my biggest pet peeves, and now I'm saying it.
You believe it.
Image scores an 88.
All right, thank you. Great challenge, great feedback. And I love the difference of opinion, that it's still subjective to a point, but that you are sharing why you have that opinion, and it matters because the maker can take and learn from that and challenge. I think it's challenging for everyone to take their image and play around with it. So thank you for all that wonderful, wonderful feedback. All right, next image.
All right, the next one is an illustrative image, Angel of Death Victorious. Image scores an 80.
All right, Nick, you're up.
I guess I'm the good guy then, am I?
Mhm.
I like this. I think it's storytelling at its best. It's the lighting captures the moment. I think. I mean, obviously, it's a statue, so you can't really change the pose. But I'm not sure whether there's a treatment on it or whether it's just the way that's framed. I'm assuming that there's a treatment on it, but I actually like that sort of almost cartoonesque, sort of slight blockiness almost. I think it tells a story, but I think it's a nice, colorful storytelling image. If I had to suggest a change, I would increase the contrast just a fraction. I'd like to see a little bit more depth and darkness, particularly down at the bottom. But I think it's strong. And also I think a solid black matte with a thinner stroke would help. But I think it's a strong image. I was at 82.
All right, thank you, Nick. Next image.
Okay, next one is a nature landscape image, Outward Bound. Image scores a 78.
Andrew.
Yeah, I enjoy this image. I think I must be the high end if it got a 78, but I scored an 80, deserving of a merit. At first I was trying to figure out, is the bird facing me or away from me? And then I read Outward Bound, and I think I can assume that's the foot and it's flying away from me. So the title kind of plays into where he's going, where he's flying. Nice technique, nice depth of field that's happening here. Capturing this bird in motion. We have a nice composition that's happening, a nice color harmony with the blues in the sky and the water.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Next image.
Okay, also a nature landscape image, Winter Lilies. Image scores a 77.
All right, Gary.
You'd pick at me one shot. I'm just not an abstract person, first of all. I guess I don't understand the title, and the title doesn't help me understand the photo there. So it's an abstract photo, and I'm kind of looking around for something to land my eyes on, and I can't find something to do that to. So I guess the title should better describe what I'm looking at to help me understand the abstract nature. But my score is 78.
Does another judge want to add anything?
Yeah, I'm going to add something to it. I kind of think I get the story. What I don't understand is why there's a hard cutoff in the white inside from the stroke. It's almost like that there's a white border that doesn't have a stroke to give us an edge and that cuts all the way around. So I don't quite understand why that's there. And I think if you're going to do something like that, then there needs to be a clearly delineated edge to the image so that we can understand where the image starts and stops. I think it's a cool concept. I don't see enough detail in the white to have the sense of snow. If you could have just a fraction of snow with the lilies poking out of it, then I would understand the story a little bit better. But so it's a good idea. I think definitely go back and play with the idea again. And with a little bit of work, I think you can maybe come up with something that tells the story. I really like the dead one right in the center where it's folded over and so on. That's the one that tells the story that these are, the dead remnants of lilies in snow. But I think you need to work a little bit harder on telling the story.
Andrew, do you have anything? I'm
No,
just curious on this one. Yeah.
I think it's all been said. I mean, it's
Okay.
an abstract piece, and a lot of times with an abstract piece, there should be some sort of flow. And I want to start somewhere and I want to end somewhere, and I'm just looking all around. I do keep coming back to that lily in the center, but there's a lot going on, and it's not taking me in a path in a story.
Okay, great. Thank you, judges. Thanks for that. Next image.
Okay, also a nature landscape image. Capitol Reef Strawberry Moonrise.
Can you read the title again, please?
It's Capitol Reef Strawberry Moonrise.
Thank you.
Image scores an 84.
Gary.
I scored an 86, an excellent category. I just love the impact. I can see detail in the shadows there. You get stars in the sky. The sun's kind of, right in the right position. It's not too bright. Kind of see the orange glow. I just love the photo and think it belongs to excellent category. So I'd be curious to hear what my other judges think about it. But my score is 86.
All right, Nick.
Oh, it was an 82. I think it's a strong merit. I agree with Guy that there's detail everywhere. I guess I was struggling a little bit with the color balance in the distance. And the more I look at it, the more I kind of get it. I'll give a huge props to the maker for having no banding in this. This is an image that is ripe for banding, and it isn't. So well done for that. I think I would like the sky. The sky feels like it ought to be a little bit darker, but that's just me. But I may be a little low, but no, I do like the image.
Andrew?
84, I think it's all been said, but I love the technique used here, the style of this, and we have a beginning, a middle, and an end, so to speak, from walking around these mountains, taking you right to end in that sunset, which is positioned right in that top third. And I think it was well done. Technical excellence. Great job.
All right, thank you. All right, next image.
Next image is photojournalism, the long red reach. Image scores an 87.
So Nick.
I'm at 87, and this is phenomenal. I mean, for a photojournalism image, I think that capture, that timing, The lighting, it's stunning, absolutely stunning. I love the way that she's shot that sleeve out. The timing on the capture is perfect. Her pose is beautiful. The composition is fabulous. The stroke's a little bit bright for me, but I mean, listen, I'm not going to kill it for that. I think it's an amazing image.
All right. Thank you, Nick. All right. Next image.
Okay, it is a portrait, a thinking dancer. Image scores an 84.
Andrew.
Yeah, so I think I was the high guy here. I had an 89. And I may have overscored, and I think I'm taken away by the boldness that the maker is doing here. We have, starting from the matte, the matte to then the background in the image, the brown to the black, to then some more browns to the black in her leotard, into the browns in her skin. I think there's so much repetition that's happening that's leading my attention into her face with this really nice composition. The accent lighting is, the accent lighting is as bright as the main light, but I feel that's done intentionally to give us this bold feeling, this really like this bold dancer. I'm kind of taken back. I'm kind of all over the place here. First I was a little low, then I went high, and then I kind of handled it here. But I think the boldness of the maker, I think all of this is done on purpose, from the lighting to the accent lighting. A lot of, maybe my fellow judges will say, well, the accent lighting's too bright. It's hitting the tip of her nose. I think that's done on purpose to really take us into her face, the thinking, the pose. There's so much going in, how she's leaning into that knee. And yes, that hand's not perfect, that left hand on her thigh. We're seeing the back of the hand, but it's really not too bright. Everything else is still, it's not taking my attention away from the image. Love the boldness here. I love the composition. I love the lighting. So I kind of took a reach here and went 89, top of the excellent category.
Great. Nick?
Yeah, I'm almost with Andrew. And the one thing that holds me back is not the edge lighting from her right, but the edge lighting from her left camera right. And I think the light on the underside of her jawline and then the outside of her shin is just too bright. If you could dial that back, I'd be up there in the high 80s, low 90s. This is stunning.
All right. Thank you, guys. Great feedback. All right. Next image.
Okay. The next image is a digital artistry image. You look tasty.
My image didn't change. Oh, there it is. Never mind.
Image scores an 81.
All right. Gary.
I scored an 83. I think there's a good level of difficulty there in kind of, selecting the lion in the background, kind of, melded together, blend together nicely. I kind of like the image. I like the feel of it. Again, I think they did a good job with the blend. So I give them a score of 83.
All right. Nick, did you want to add one thing?
Yeah, I'm probably the bad guy. And it's to an extent the Photoshop, but it's also the actual underlying image. The image itself is not sharp, and it's mostly movement, not focus. But I find that the softness in the tongue to be very distracting. And then, in terms of the cutout and so on, that's well done. I do think the main's a little bit over sharpened, and so you're getting some patterning into that and banding into that. But solid, as I say, I was at a 78. If you could have sharpened the tongue and actually also the teeth, then you could have come up to an 80.
All right, thank you, judges.
Hey,
Next
Janet,
image. Yes, yeah,
Don't hate me.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, do
I
you want to?
think so when I keep thinking of an image, I got to go back to it. Can we go back
Okay.
to the ballerina? Because that never was challenged. And I think it got an 84. I think I want to challenge that up to get in the excellent category because I feel it deserves it.
Okay, Dan, is that, how would we do that? Just go, oh, he's got it, he's
It's
on it. All right, go
Okay,
for it.
so I guess I'm challenged this. I scored this in 89. I mean,
Yeah.
there's already a lot of talk about this, but this is just so beautifully done. And I just keep going back to all of this is done intentionally. I did hear one of the judges mention the light on the jawline. That's what kept me from going even higher, was that light on the neck and the jawline. Everything else is just done so masterfully, and just the pose, the composition, the light to dark, everything that's just happening in this image, the tonality. I mean, this could be the cover of, Ballet Weekly, whatever the ballet magazines are. Like, this is beautifully done, and I believe it's all intentionally done. And yes, there are some small things like the hand, the light on the cheek, but I think that's what's keeping it in the superior category. But this is an excellent image, and I want to make sure. I mean, we're so close. We're on an 84, I believe, is what it's for.
It was 84.
We're so close here. Let's get at least up a point to get it in the excellent category.
All right, Gary.
I had two problems. One was the knee pointing at the camera, and thought that's kind of you generally don't want to have a knee or an elbow pointing at the camera. And the dress being so bright takes my focus off her face, which is beautiful, down to the dress. So I guess I'd like to see the face a little brighter, or the dress not a little darker. But it was the knee pointing right at me kind of really bothered me. But I can come up a few points.
All right, Nick.
I like the knee point. I think we're past the sort of standard PPA rules of flat people. I think that knees do point at cameras, and actually this tells the story really well. For me, it was the bright jawline and the edge lighting on the shin are a little bright, but I can come up. One of the things that I just noticed, which I really like, is there's a tiny hint of detail behind her left shoulder in the background that normally with an image like this, you want it to be a perfect silhouette, but perfect black background, but I actually like that. Not quite sure what it is. It doesn't really matter what it is. I think it just adds a tiny little hint of additional interest. So yeah, I'll come up.
All right, do you have a rebuttal, Andrew?
Not really. It's all necessarily been said. I think all these little things are keeping it from the superior exceptional category or superior category. I mean, this is an excellent image, and I think it should be rewarded.
All right, thank you guys. Let's rescore.
Image scores an 86.
All right, great job. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right, next image.
Okay, give me 1 second here.
Yeah.
The next image is illustrative, tomatoes like they used to be.
Janet, real quick, a point of order,
Yes.
we missed an image. We skipped back and then we skipped over the image that we were looking at before the lion, I think. Unless that already completed scoring.
That completed scoring.
Yes, it was. Thank you.
All right, I just want to make sure.
Thank
That's
you.
right. Image scores a 79.
Nick?
I think it's solid. I like the story. I mean, I like the title. I like the story. It's solid. The composition is rather static, and that's why I didn't go any higher. I was an 81. I think it's technically well done. I do like the lighting that really shows the shine on the tomatoes, and I also like the fact that they pick real tomatoes, not perfect ones. As a commercial photographer and food photographer, I always see perfect fruit, and the reality is it's just not. This is honest. But I think a slightly more dynamic composition would have helped. You could possibly increase the depth of focus a little bit. It's getting a teeny bit soft at the back tomato, but it's borderline. But I think it's solid. I think it's a nice merit. I think it's just a nice story.
All right, thank you, Nick. Next image.
Okay, next one is a pet image, whiskers, tongue, and temper. Image scores an 83.
All right, Andrew.
Yeah, you definitely have a great cat photographer in this group. I mean, just it demands attention. I'm looking right in this cat's eyes. The blue in the eyes and the pink collar with the pink stroke line, everything ties in really, really nicely. You know, PPA might frown upon your presentation just offsetting, you know, the image itself. Doesn't bother me. I actually kind of think it adds to the image, and then framing it with that pink stroke line. You could probably tone down the stroke line just a little bit, maybe kind of the dark pink in the collar, just so it's a little less subtle. But great capture. Everything's tack sharp. You have detail where it needs to be. And great job.
All right, Nick. Yeah, go ahead.
I agree with everything Andrew said. I love the reflection as well. I think that's really nice touch. I think it's the tip of the tail at the back there is distracting. I would have burnt that right down, even though it's definitely there. I just find that tiny little bit. It doesn't add anything to the image, and if anything, it detracts slightly. But I think it's strong.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the additional feedback. All right, next image.
Next is a senior image, happiest bat boy in town. Image scores an 80.
All right, Nick.
I'm at 79, and it's a little bit of a protest vote. I think it's a great image. I like the capture, even though it's straight on. It tells the story, and I think it probably speaks to this kid. The one thing that bugs me is it looks like he's got a cold sore on his upper lip, and I would love to see that retouched out. I think it's, I mean, if it's not going to be there in 2 weeks' time, take it out. Is my general rule. But I think that for storytelling, I have a sense this might be special needs downs or whatever, and if it is, then so much the better. But just the story, the connection, the personality is fabulous. But I put it at 79, hoping that you get a chance to resubmit.
All right, thanks, Nick. Next image.
Okay, next image is illustrative, 1/4 of Maine. Image scores an 81.
Gary.
I scored an 84. I just like the overall composition. I like the rocks kind of start me in the bottom right and take me up to the top to the house there. Love the detail on the rocks. Nice exposure, very, very sharp. I think it's an overall well done composition, and my score was 84.
Nick, want to add something?
Sure. I mean, and this is a taste thing. I was at 78. It's a solid composition. I think it's oversaturated, and for that matter, also slightly oversharpened. So I think it's almost a caricature of the image. I think the composition's nice. Composition's nice. The layout is good, but I just find it's too processed. It looks like a Cibachrome from the 80s printed as a postcard. It's too much. Dial it back a little bit, and I think you've got a much stronger image, personally.
All right. All right, thanks for that. Next image.
Okay, next image is photojournalism, OB Carve. Image scores an 80.
Andrew.
Yes, I guess when you live in San Diego, we get lots of surfing and cat pictures, which I don't usually see in Arizona. Yeah, photojournalism category, you captured a nice image here, tack sharp, or at least so I can see everything's tack sharp here. I really enjoy how the wave is kind of framing the buoy in the water, and I enjoy that I don't know if that's English. I like that you didn't position them dead center in the frame, because we have some movement here. It's taking us on a journey from left to right with the composition framing the buoy there. Well done. It fits nicely in the photojournalism category. Just a note on presentation, try to make it looks like it's not done on purpose. So you have more room on the left side of the border than the right side, and the top and the bottom. Just even that out a little bit. It'll help frame the image a little more.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Next image.
Okay, next image is photojournalism again, 300-year-old tree down. Image scores a 77.
Gary.
Interesting storytelling. You got the snow captured, you got the tree falling down, you got the truck, probably utility truck there. So I think the storytelling is great. I would like to see a good black and a good white. So I think it's kind of a flat image. So probably bump the contrast up. And again, in light reinforcement, try to make sure you have a good black someplace and good white. The sky kind of looks a little grayish, but again, increase the contrast, kind of make it less flat. Get my score is 77.
All right, Andrew, do you want to add anything?
Nope.
Okay. All right, next image. Thank you, guys.
Okay, next is a pet image, Under the Blue. Image scores an 81.
Nick.
Yeah, I so want to be up in the merit category, but unfortunately, you just missed the focus. The focus is on the ears. The eyes are just about in focus, and the tip of the nose is losing it. You can bring the center of focus forwards, then I think it's beautiful. I wanted to call it soggy doggy, but I think it's a great shot. And I like the composition. The rock lower right is a fraction distracting, but I mean, his attention catches your eyes. If you could have nailed the focus, it would be really strong. Just a little bit too far back.
Thank you, Nick. Next image.
Photojournalism, Jeepers. Image scores a 79.
All right, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm conflicted on well, I shouldn't say what is our main subject, but there's lots going on in here. So my eyes don't necessarily know where to rest. I have this bright light in the top, almost top middle. I have the Jeep itself, which is demanding the attention of where our composition is telling us to look. And then we have this girl with Chinese takeout walking on the street on the right-hand side. And then we have this bright light in front of the Jeep. So there's kind of, my eyes are bouncing around a little bit. I think even though this is in photojournalism category, we can't necessarily change, edit, manipulate things, but we could have changed our angle a little bit and maybe had a nice balance between the Jeep and the person walking. And then maybe we crop out the light on the top, and then maybe the light in the front of the Jeep, we just wait a few seconds till that car leaves, or position the light in front of the Jeep. So I think we could have done a couple things to kind of help eliminate some of those distractions. So my eye, or the viewer's eye, has a place to kind of land and focus.
All right, great. Thanks so much. Great feedback. Next image.
Okay, senior category. Prom 2052 in my trash bag dress.
I want to ask just to have you repeat that title, please.
Okay,
Yep.
it's Prom 2052 in my trash bag dress. Image scores an 87.
Andrew, how you feeling about that?
Yeah, I'll take this.
All right.
You know, I love centering images when it works, and I think this works. We have the composition alone. We have this really nice framing element behind her with the circles, not to mention just this beautiful repetition throughout that's just giving us a very pleasing, it's very pleasing to the eye when we have repetition throughout the image. And it's well done where we're focusing and I can't take my eyes off of this model looking straight in. The title is a little long, but it works. It has this futuristic feel to it in the background. It has this really nice repetition. You know, I'm glad they called out it's a trash bag, otherwise I wouldn't necessarily know what that was. And I scored a 90, by the way, low end of the superior. What kept me up from going up higher, a little bit of hand placement. That hand is competing a little bit with the face, but this is also Prom 2052. And 2052, things are more modern, things are changing. We're not in traditional hand posing. That's how I'm looking at this. So, yeah, the hands are demanding attention, but that's just keeping me up from going higher. I can overlook that. The smoke in the bottom, I think, is a nice touch, because who knows what's happening in 2052. Maybe there's smoke and fog all over the place. And I think it helps us from drawing our attention down off the page. It's bringing us back up, if anything, so that fog is kind of acting like leading lines a little bit. And I enjoy the presentation. I think the presentation, even though the corners are a little like cut off in a way, it kind of gives a futuristic kind of bevel feel to it, which is a little untraditional, which is what I like. And I probably went over my minute. Oh, not to mention gorgeous lighting on the face.
John, what was the score?
It was an 87.
87.
Well, since I'm the bag, I'm going to challenge this because actually, you know what? I way underscored this at 82.
Okay.
The more I look at it, the more I agree with all of Andrew's comments, and I'm really starting to see more in it. I kind of chuckled, and then I was harsh. So no, it's really good. I do find the smoke a little distracting, a little darker, and it would draw my eye less. But the rest of it, the storytelling is amazing. The lighting is gorgeous. And actually, in this case, the slightly over-processed skin works. Again, it's 2082, so who knows what they would be doing by then. And what makeup would be doing. It may be actually, you know, doing your Botox thing for you.
And not to mention too, the color balance, the warm in the skin versus the blues just makes her pop.
I agree.
She demands attention dead center in there. I mean, she looks like a superhero.
All right, Gary, what's your addition?
Been said, let's vote.
All right. You ready,
I-
Nick?
Do I get to rebut?
Yes, you do.
Okay, if I have one criticism, I'd like to see a little bit more light in her eyes. But apart from that, I think it's good. And I was definitely low. I will be coming up. Let's see if we can get it to 90, guys.
All right, let's rescore.
Image scores a 91.
Well
Wow.
done. Thank you,
Well
guys.
done. Great job, judges.
I was
All
wrong, Eddie.
right. Next image.
Okay. The next image is illustrative. Disappearing cat trick. Image scores an 84.
Gary, let's hear from you.
I scored an 81. I love the concept. I love the overall composition. What kept me down was the white fur just seemed to be just too white, need to be toned down a bit. I think if they toned it down, I would have come up a lot harder, but I love the concept and the overall composition. Again, my score is 81.
Can I make
Right.
one comment? I'll be super fast.
Yeah.
If whoever the maker is, if you're listening, change that gray background to like a chocolate or a brown of some sort. And if you want to manipulate that cat's fur, where that white fur turns into like a brownish and the whole tonality is brown, I mean, this could score so high in the PPA world. Small little things like that, but this is a great image.
I want to challenge it. We're at 84. This belongs in 85. And I was at 85. I think it belongs at 85. And actually, I'm looking closely at the fur. There's detail all the way through it. It's very, very well controlled. It's not, I mean, it's bright, but that's okay because it just draws your eye. Your eye grabs at this cat just disappearing into this basket, and you're wondering, is there in the hole? Where's it going? I think it's really powerful. I get the idea of changing the color in the background. I think if you tone the cat down, you lose some of the impact. But I can see where that would go, and yes, as a classic PPA portrait, maybe, but I think the power of this is that really, really strong contrast, and yet nothing's overblown. There's detail right the way through the white. So well done to the maker. Let's get up to 85.
All right, anyone need to add anything? Gary, Andrew, are we good to rescore?
Let's go.
All right,
We're
let's
gonna rescore,
rescore.
and I think he just convinced me to go even higher.
Okay.
Image scores an 87.
All
Nice.
right, great job, guys. All right, next image.
Okay. The next one is another nature landscape image, portrait of a king. Image scores a 78.
I'm not sure who to ask on this one. Nick, let's go with you.
Sure. I so want to love this image. I think it's great, but unfortunately, there's some technical issues, particularly sharpening. I'm guessing that it was probably a little bit soft on the tip of the nose, and you sharpened it. Looks to me like Topaz Sharpen AI has that sort of pattern, and it just creates this sort of fingerprinty smudge on the nose, which just once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. I see a little bit of banding and blocking up in the background as well. So if you can fix the technical issues, I think this could be really powerful. It's a great piece of storytelling, but unfortunately, technically, it has some problems.
All right, thanks, Nick. Next image.
All right. Next image is a senior image, a little bit retro. Image scores an 80.
All right, Gary.
You scored a 78. A beautiful girl. I like the lighting on her and the pose. I just had a problem with the distracting elements in the background. And I kind of felt it should have been cropped in a little bit tighter if she's the subject. So again, score of 78. But again, I think if she's the subject, it's getting closer and don't have distracting things in the background.
All right, thank you, Gary. Next image.
Okay, next one is a portrait illuminated. Image scores an 87.
Challenge.
Well, you're up, Nick.
It's I'm at 90. This is stunning. It's the storytelling, the position, the posing, the lighting is excellent. Nothing's overblown. It's just, I think it's incredible. I like the center positioning of the guy is very brave, but it works because you've got these really strong graphical elements that just create the triangle, create the impact. You can go everywhere on the image and you always end up exactly where you belong. Even though his stomach is slightly brighter than his face, I don't mind that. It just fits with the image. I really think this is breathtaking.
All right, Gary.
I gave it an 83. I could probably come up on this image. I like the pose. I like the concept. I like the negative space. Again, your shirt's a little bit too bright, but that doesn't really bother me that much. My score is 83.
All right, great. Thank you. Andrew.
My score is an 89. I believe that the title really helps this image. Sometimes titles can hurt images. Sometimes they do nothing. Sometimes they help. But the illumination here, and I think the use of, I'm assuming these are V-flats or something of the sort, but the creativity to open those up, to have just a slither of light coming in, it just works. His pose, everything works here. And what I really like is the untraditionalness of the essentially lighting the opposite of the mask of the face. Like, yeah, we can nitpick and say there's a little bit of light on the forehead, the nose, but it just looks so natural, genuine. There's motion, there's action. I mean, if we break down all of the 12 elements here, I mean, we have a superior image. I'm with you coming up. I was an 89. I'm cool coming up to get this into superior. This is excellent.
Great. Thank you. Nick, rebuttal?
I think it's been said.
All right.
Just vote and bring it up.
Let's rescore.
All right. Image scores a 91.
Wow. Great challenges tonight, guys. All right. Next image.
Okay. Next image is children category, Sweet Dreams. Image scores a 79.
Andrew.
Yeah, I think it's funny. We go from a little baby cat to a lion, and then we go from an adult to a baby. Cute baby here. Lighting is what really held it back for me. We're a little flat lighting here. I want a little bit more depth, a little bit more, dimension to the baby's face. Just kind of moving that lighting a little bit, get a little bit more shadows. We can kind of start seeing the butterfly lighting starting to be created by that nose. If we just take it a little bit towards the forehead and just create that shadow, that little butterfly shadow of light under the nose, it'll create a little more depth, a little more drama, a little more dimension to this baby, and really kind of, it'll make you want to, I guess I'm trying to choose my words rather, not touch the baby, because I know that's the wrong thing, but like you can get the emotion and the texture of the skin by just creating a little bit more depth with the lighting.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Andrew. All right, next image.
Okay, next is a senior image, Mermaid Princess. Image scores an 84.
Gary, let's hear from you first.
Okay, well, I'm going to challenge this first of all. So I scored it a 90. It just knocked me off my seat. The composition, the lighting, the skin tones, the piercing eyes, the storytelling. I just love the image. I'm just curious why my fellow judges are so low. But again, I put in the exceptional or superior category at 90.
All right, Nick, you're next.
Yeah, I'm the bad guy. I was at 78, and it's the deer in the headlights look that I don't know what to say. It looks like it's a deer in the headlights look on her expression that just have the lower half of her face is expressionless, and the eyes just look terrified. I don't get that. I think the lighting's good. The composition's good. I would like to have seen her head turned a little bit more. The straight on split lighting doesn't work for me. The negative space I can live with, but as I say, it's the deer in the headlights eyes that just kill it for me. But I'm listening.
All right, Andrew.
For me, initial impact, just you go right to where you want to look. The set, and I scored an 84 at the high end of the deserving of a merit. We go right to where you want to look. What held me from going back any further is just we're very straight onto this pose. Mermaids are flowing beautiful. They're curvy. They're, flowing in the water. So if we turned her body to, key left here, with maybe her chin coming back, start creating some diagonals, some triangles into this pose, maybe take her left knee over the right knee a little bit more, really sit more on that hip, lean her body forward, really start creating some movement that kind of flows with our title, Mermaid Princess. I think we would be able to enjoy it. I mean, deserving of merit's already a beautiful image, but to go even higher, I just need a little bit more flow, some more energy, more something in the pose. And yeah.
All right, rebuttal, Gary.
I just like the relaxed look of the pose. The eyes I love because she's looking right at me. We're making eye contact. I don't see the deer in the headlights look there. I like the depth of her face, the shadows. To me, it's an extremely relaxed, natural pose. So again, I love the image. I'm staying at 90.
All right, let's rescore.
Image scores an 85.
All right, great job. Brought it to the next category. All right, next image.
Okay, the next image is a pet image. Hold on. This is my couch, isn't it? Image scores an 83.
All right, Nick.
I'm at 85 on this. I think it's very, very well done. I think the lighting's it's a little, I'd like to see a little bit more contrast, but I think it really works. The center of focus is far enough back that the eyes and ears are in focus on the tip of the nose, so it tells that story. But I think the composition is beautiful, and anyone who can get a dog like that to pose that way deserves, serious props. So it's nicely done.
All right, thank you, Nick. Next image.
Okay, next image is illustrative asymmetrical symmetry. Image scores a 79.
Gary,
I scored it a 77. My eye starts on the outer side to the dark area and kind of leads me down that tunnel. What kind of held me back was it seems like a lot of digital noise. I'm presuming a high ISO image here. The bright sky above again kind of distracts me, kind of takes me out of the tunnel up to the bright sky. So I kind of tone down the sky, and then again maybe kind of use a denoise product to kind of get rid of some of the noise there, because that takes away some of the sharpness. Again, my score is a 77.
all right, thank you. Next image.
Okay, the next image is a nature image, nature landscape image, catching the wave. Image scores an 81.
Nick, let's go with you on this one.
So I'm a bad guy. I'm at 78. I think it's a great concept. It's a very hard photograph to take. The shutter speed's a little bit low, so you've still got some movement in the hummingbird's wings. Hummingbirds are really hard to shoot because their wings move so fast. I would like to have seen that stationary. I'd also think that you could have probably cropped in a little bit from the right. I'm not sure that putting the bird slap bang in the middle of the image really works as well as it might do. But I think it's an interesting concept. Soggy bird, but yeah, cool. So I was in 78.
All right, thanks, Nick. And then next image.
Okay, this is our last image on the first round of judging. We will come back and look at the 78s and 79s, but this one is a portrait image. She makes it look effortless. Image scores an 84.
All right, Gary.
I scored an 85. Love the image, love the composition. The lighting is nice and soft. The feel of action of her skirt kind of flying around, hands in the air. The background's kind of darkened down a bit. She's on point. The only improvement I suggest is kind of on the left side, you kind of get that bright opening there. I would kind of maybe tone down that opening a bit. But I just kind of love the image. Just a nice feel of action and just beauty. Scores 85.
Great, thank you, Gary. Wonderful. All right, I think
Okay, give me a
that is
couple
it for this
seconds here
round.
to
Yep,
go back
so-
through all the 79s and 78s.
so I know we challenged some of those. So when these come back, you're either going to score 79 or 80.
We
Right.
go back about 40 images.
Well, we're going to go back further than that.
I was joking.
Good. All right. So the first one that we're going to review is a senior image, final season.
I'm sorry, Dan. What do you want us to do here? We're just going
So either
79.
79 or 80.
Okay.
Who wants to score?
Yes.
Okay.
What was the original score?
Oh, the original score was a 79.
We also bring back 78s. We bring back both, yeah.
The image moves to a merit at 80.
All right, congratulations.
Okay. a second here. Of course. The next one is digital artistry. Kagayuhime Noie.
Original score.
Original score was a 78.
Just to clarify, you only want us to score 79 or 80, even if it scored a 78?
Correct.
So
If it
in
gets two
person,
79s, it stays the same. If it gets two 80s, it becomes a merit. So this one got 3 79s, it stays the same.
we would do right thumbs up or stays the same or moves up.
Right.
So it's just a way to say if we decided to bring back 78 because they were also right on the edge. So
Yeah.
so that's the
Yep.
only reason. Yeah.
So next image is She Loves Marilyn, a portrait. Image stays the same. Next image is nature landscape, cactus forest in Baja. Image stays the same. Next image is a pet image doing her best. Image stays the same. The next image is illustrative. It's floral leotard dancewear. Image stays the same. Next one is a pet image. Do I have to? And image stays the same. Next one is photojournalism, gnarly. Image stays the same. Next one is nature landscape, outward bound. Image stays the same. Next one is illustrative, tomatoes like they used to be. Image stays the same. Next one is photojournalism, jeepers. Image stays the same. Next one is nature landscape, portrait of a king. Image stays the same. Next one is children, sweet dreams. Image stays the same. Next one is illustrative, asymmetrical symmetry. Image stays the same. All right, and that completes the first round of judging. If you'll give us a few minutes, it'll take me a while to kind of coordinate things for the best in category group. Janet, I might suggest we take a break.
Yes. Okay. And I'm going to see if Michelle's here to open up our.
Oh, yeah.
Michelle, are you here?
Okay, that was a fairly spirited discussion in the back. Everybody agrees this is the strongest competition that we have had at PPSDC. The judges had a very, very difficult time narrowing down. So without any further ado, I'm going to announce our category winners.
Mute speakers, everybody. I'm hearing some like background noise, so if we can, everyone mute. All right, awesome.
All right, so I gotta get back out. Okay, so I'm going to go to I'm going to do them in the order that they were shown because that's just easier for me right now. It's the best nature
1 second. Are
landscape.
you going to wait? Sorry, are you going to
Yep.
be
Yeah, do
big?
you want me to share my screen so that you can and put it on print competition again?
It'll show up on print competition as soon as I select the image.
I know,
Okay,
but if
so
I'm
we're-
not sharing my screen, it won't go on the
Oh.
recording.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and
Okay,
share your
hold on a
screen.
second. Okay, wait, I gotta switch over. There we go. Okay.
Okay. So the best in nature landscape is Dancer of the Sea by Paul Burlingame.
Mhm.
Good job.
Congratulations. That's beautiful.
Okay. The best in illustrative. There we go. Is, oh, here it is. Impending Chaos by Lisa Miller.
Right. Congratulations, Lisa.
Right. It's quiet golf claps out there. All right. Best in digital artistry, Rising Up by Barbara Fletcher.
Woohoo. Good job.
Barbara. Beautiful.
That's awesome.
Best in the pet category, The Mighty Leopold by Michelle Pennings.
Woohoo.
The best in the in the photojournalism category, The Long Red Reach by Jennifer Curry Wingrove.
All right, Jennifer. Woo.
And she's in Indianapolis, so I'm pretty sure she's already logged off. The best in the senior category is Prom 2052 in My Trash Bag Dress by Michelle Pennings.
Ooh, Michelle.
And the best in the portrait category is Illuminated by Jennifer Curry Wingrove.
Woohoo. Still,
All right,
still awake,
Jennifer.
tiny.
Oh.
Woo.
And for our best in show, it's Illuminated by Jennifer Curry Wingrove.
Jennifer, did you hear that? You're half
Jennifer.
asleep.
Woo-hoo, way to go, girl. Yeah. Excellent, you guys. That's amazing. Good job, everyone.
Congratulations, everyone.
Oh my God, I couldn't find my mute button. I'm so tired. Yay. It was a wonderful night. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you did all right.
Yeah.
On behalf of the judges, I want to say you've got some incredibly strong images there. So it was a real honor to judge here. This is fun stuff.
Wonderful.
Congratulations, everyone.
Yes, great. Congratulations, everybody. Great images.
Yeah.
I'm happy I was able to partake.
I do want to say one thing that I've been dying to say all night, that all from what I gathered on the makers' names that I was following along, all the cat images, all the surfer images, they were all different makers. There was even the lions, they were all different.
And the lights were all different makers as well.
Yeah. So what are the chances we had so many lions, cats, surfers?
Yeah, it was crazy.
My cat was an illustrative for once.
So yeah.
Cool.
Thank you to the judges. You guys offered a lot of constructive criticism, so we appreciate that. Agreed. Thank you, judges.
Yeah, I like the criticism. Maybe I didn't like it, but it was very good criticism. I appreciate it.
Good job, judges. I'm gonna stop the recording.